WORDGURU. Out of Tim Minchin, Zoe Coombsmar and Tom Gleeson, who's best at spelling?
Does anyone really give a hoot about spelling anymore?
Based on the international hit series, join Guy Montgomery and Aaron Chen, challenging Australia's top comedians in a brand new contest of skill.
It's like mixed martial arts, but with words.
And no martial arts.
Guy Montgomery's Guy Mont Spelling Bee.
Watch them squirm.
Premieres Wednesday, August 14 on ABC TV and ABC iView.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL Premiership season.
AFL. On your radio.
On digital. And take us with you on the ABC Listener.
Look for the AFL button.
Hi everyone, great to have your company for Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport. I'm Matt Clinch under the roof, where the Saints have won 4 of their last 5 here at Docklands, while the Cats haven't won here against St Kilda since round 9 2021, having not featured at Docklands at all until this stage of 2024 season. There's no late changes. Mitch Duncan and Hugo Garcia, the various subs for tonight. Great to have Lauren Borden back to call the action tonight. Welcome back, Loz.
Thanks, Clinchy. It's nice to be back after a few weeks away for the Olympics coverage, but it feels like everything's been happening in the AFL in that time. Port Adelaide, GWS, they've been flying up the ladder, and a few teams like Carlton, and Essendon have just been dropping out. So a lot's been happening in the last 3 weeks.
And the Cats have tried to fight their way back up the ladder. The possibility of locking in a top 4 spot tonight. Our AFL Games record holder Brent Harvey is here alongside Daniel Harford tonight. Welcome, guys.
G'day, guys. I just want St Kilda to throw a punch early.
Okay.
Not literally, Daniel.
Well,
I just want them to score. I want them to score because last couple of times I've watched the Saints, they have waited to the second half to try to win the game.
This is the thing. There's not a lot of run and handball in their game until the game's over, Boomer. So we want to see that absolutely. Looking forward to seeing what they can do. But the Cats could lock in a top 4 spot here with a victory here tonight. So they've got plenty to play for as well.
Is this a danger game for Geelong, or can they secure a top 4 finish against the Saints? Here's Lauren Borden on ABC Sport.
It's Marshall and Stanley in the ruck. Stanley rises over the top. It'll be a free kick, though, or it'll be a ball up, rather, coming up in the middle after Atkins was tackled. So ball up, secondary in the centre, circles of the ground, up it goes. Stewart goes in there, Atkins goes in again, and he's tackled by 2, so we'll have another ball up just outside the centre circles. So the third stoppage to start the game under the roof at Docklands. It's Marshall and Stanley tussle, and Stanley picks it up, and then he's tackled by a couple. So no one moving out of the centre in any hurry to start this game. Probably a half-full Docklands Stadium at the moment as more fill in this first quarter. As both rucks go at it, Zach Jones tries to clear it. It comes back to him. Mullen has a chance and can just get a hand pass out for Geelong. Then it's put on the boot by Stewart. It'll be Wanganang Miller that can pick it up for St Kilda, though. Send it to half-forward for the Saints. Jack Henry runs out to meet it for the Cats, who move quickly. Outer side of the ground, he can find Dangerfield, who marks on the outer side, plays on quickly, inside 50 for the Cats. Mark Neal. And quick movement from half-back to the forward line for the Cats, and they'll have a shot at goal early.
That's just transition, isn't it? From centre half-back, started with Henry. Dangerfield read the cue super early, got out there, and he looks all right, Neil. He looks all right without Big Hawkins there. He looks like the next forward in line.
Well, and that's important for them too, because we know that Tom's obviously hanging up the boots and had to find someone else, and with an injury, it's just giving him greater airtime, so to speak, to get out there and do his thing and learn the craft in real time.
Shannon Neal, 30 metres out, 45-degree angle. The Cats are off to the perfect start. Shannon Neal with the opener, and Geelong lead 1 straight 6 to St Kilda, yet to score after just a minute and a half in the game.
So we've seen, just from a structural perspective at the moment, the Cats rolling their one player back. Ollie Dempsey comes up to the wing, then rolls back and sits, and in fact he goes on ball. And then Zach Guthrie rolls back as the 7th, and it leaves Jack Sinclair as the spare player for St Kilda behind the ball. Sinclair plays deep as the spare, whereas Zach Guthrie just plays off the contest as that sort of release player.
The voice of Daniel Harford alongside Brent Harvey tonight. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden to call the action. Jess Webster sitting in the front row for us tonight. Welcome to you, Jess.
G'day, Clinchy. Great to be here. A lot of Saints fans are in the house tonight, and they're also wearing their Stickman Guernsey. For those playing at home, that's a fan favourite Guernsey. Wearing it tonight to salute the support of members and fans across the course of the season. This is the last home match for St Kilda this year, so expect the fans to be full of voice tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jess. Tom Stewart gets the clearance for the Cats, gets the hand pass out to Mullen, who kicks out to the wing. Tom Atkins can't take the mark. He does gather it at right half forward. Corralled as he kicks it towards the 50. Stengel can't take the mark, and it's spoiled out of play by Stocker. Right half forward for the Cats. They have the opening goal through 3 minutes.
Josh Battle got the job on Jeremy Cameron as well. So be interesting to see how that goes when Cameron gets up the field a little bit more.
Just a couple of inside 50s so far for Geelong. They have the opening goal as Rowan Marshall in front position, wins down the tap. Neil gathers, tackle by Zach Jones, holding the footy. And St Kilda win it back at left half back. Geelong by a goal. 3 minutes gone, opening quarter on ABC Sport.
Wrapped that the fans like the St Kilda jumper, and I'm not a St Kilda fan because I hate it.
Well, it's got the full red back and then, the stick man on the front. I don't mind it. There's something a little bit different to the tradition. As St Kilda move it along the broadcast wing. Wanganeen Miller with it, indecisive. Finally gets a kick away. Dempsey's there to pick it off for Geelong. He hand passes to Zach Guthrie, who hand passes it across to Close, who's running down left half forward, kicks inside 50. Mark can't be taken by Ollie Henry. It's punched over the boundary line for a throw in about 20 metres around from Geelong's goal.
He looked for the perfect play there, Wanganeen Malera. The perfect play is not always on, especially in a game when everyone's covering that 45. So just need to get that on the boot and give the Saints forwards an opportunity and a chance.
So Geelong kicking towards the Lockett end of Docklands as Wood picks it out from the stoppage and is just taken straight down by Ollie Henry for a ball up about 20 metres out from Geelong's goals. It's the Cats ahead by that Shannon Neal goal 4 minutes into the first quarter.
Tossed up in the air, Marshall and Neal spills down the way of Atkins for Geelong. Hand pass bounces out to Stewart, bounces off an opponent, hand pass to the goal mouth. It's cleared by Sinclair, but only momentarily as Atkins gathers. Hand pass away to Jeremy Cameron, screws it onto his left. It's across the face of goal. Underneath the back paddling is Dougal Howard. He can't control the mark, despite the Saints having 3-on-1. Brad Close happy to see it out of play.
They're just little things, but that ability of Close to get that ball to ground, who's at number 2-on-1, small man going up, gets a big one in the pocket there. Just get that to ground, get another stoppage into forward 50. They're the best team in footy at locking it in their forward 50, I reckon, the Cats.
Marshall takes front position against Neal, wins down the tap to Jones. A clearing kick looking for Brad Hill. It's spoiled away from him by Zach Guthrie. 1-2 with Atkins. Hand pass to Stewart, little fumble. Sliding in Sinclair. Stewart lays the tackle. Just drops it to his boot, and then it's cleverly cleared in the end by Dow. Kicks up towards Membry. Kept it in front of himself. Was able to get it down to Mitch Owens, and then it bounces off him and Humphreys and out of play. It's still between wing and half forward for the Cats. We've played 5 minutes on ABC Sport. Geelong leading by 6 points.
In general play, Geelong is so good at manufacturing a spare behind the football. St Kilda win the ball, look up, and they've got the visual spare, so they can't just kick it long.
Stanley tries to get the tap out. It's Zach Jones that picks it up for St Kilda. Hand passes back to Battle, puts it on his boot. It goes to a one-on-one contest, one out by Membry, but he's brought it over the boundary line on the outer side of the ground, so it will be another throw-in just at about centre wing on the city side of Docklands. It's Geelong leading by a kick. As the umpire flicks the ball in, Marshall just picks it out of the ruck and puts it on his boot, pushes it into the centre square. It goes past Sharman, who takes Lawson Humphreys high, and the Geelong defender will get the free kick. Just 21 years old in his first season, and he's cemented his spot in this side as he flares it out wide to Jack Henry, who holds on to the kick at left half back for the Cats.
Looks up towards half forward. Ollie Henry is the target. In front, Wanganeen Miller dropped the mark, and Henry gathers. Hat buster Close, sold him into trouble. He's tackled by Wood, and the ball spills out of play in front of the St Kilda bench, where the players are lining up keen to get back on. Geelong by 6 points, 6.5 minutes gone. Opening term on ABC Sport. Jack Steele alongside Patrick Dangerfield as the umpire is ready to throw the ball back into play. Stanley takes front position, slaps it down, but straight to Steele as St Kilda. Just a momentarily fumble as he gets the hand pass away to Jones. Swings back onto his right-hand side, drives it up towards half forward. The tangle for front position. Jack Henry holds front against Cooper Sharman. It spills down. They fight for it at ground level. Mitch Owens slides in. His hand pass knocked off by Manor. He kicks the Cats up the wing, but Zach Jones is waiting for it. Hand pass a little sharp for Wood. Somehow gets it to Stocker. Hand pass to Sinclair, to Clark through the middle of the ground. Owens had to be quick as he ran into a dead end. Mitch Nevitt couldn't take it cleanly. Ball pinballs around. Butler trying to get it back to Sinclair. Still a chance for the Cats on half-back. Now picked up by Burns. He's tackled and loses it. Butler has another go. It's a pinball at the moment. It's eventually gathered by Geelong, and Bowes clears out to the city wing.
He puts it out wide. He's got Ollie Henry running onto it. Wilkie beats him to the footy, though. Hand passes to Dougal Howard, who spins around and goes back to Wilkie. He'll kick St Kilda 10 metres forward to Webster, who'll then hand pass over the top to Burns. He can finally put St Kilda inside 50, although it's picked off by Kolajasny easily. 45 metres out from goal, standing in front of Anthony Caminiti.
It's all under pressure at the moment, though, for the Saints in that forward third of the ground. They can't get it in with any time and space, and the Cats, as Boomer said before, creating that seventh defender, extra player, have no troubles mopping it up.
Kolajasny can find Jack Henry, who kicks to Holmes, who kicks very close to the boundary line. It's too far over it. He was aiming for Dempsey, but it was about a metre out, just in front of the Geelong bench. And it's where the free kick will be going to Mason Wood of the Saints. It's Geelong leading by one straight kick. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Swings out onto his left as Wood kicks inside 50. Membry the target, can't pull in the mark, and he almost got rid of his opponent. And a good tackle laid by Mullen to lock it up with Jack Henry, and the umpire will ball it up in the right forward pocket for St Kilda. Geelong 1 straight 6. St Kilda yet to score. 8.5 minutes gone. Opening quarter on ABC Sport. Sharman slaps it down in the direction of Membry. Tackled by Kolajasny. Ball spins out to Tom Stewart. He switches play, which is dangerous across the teeth of goal, but always in control. The All-Australian defender as he works it to Zach Guthrie. Back to Tom Stewart. Out to Kolajasny, who marks at left half back, and now he's hemmed in as he looks for angles long down the line. Call to play on, sends it in the direction of Cameron.
Well read,
in the end, Rowan Marshall just read it superbly and comes in from the side.
He ran from about 20 metres. He knew exactly where the ball was going to go, and he's the one that wanted it the most. Put a little bit of physical pressure on Blitzarves and was strong enough to take the mark.
So Rowan Marshall will bomb it inside 50 for the Saints. A packle for mark can't be taken by Sharman. It'll come out, spill through hands before Kolajasny has a go at it. Then in comes Bowes. He'll go after it again for Geelong. In is Higgins as well. He can't gather it. Sharman's there. He can finally hand pass it away to Membry, who'll have a shot at goals, but it's offline to the right-hand side for just one behind. So St Kilda open up their scoring with a point. They're trailing Geelong by 5 points after 10 minutes played on Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
St Kilda have just got to be careful about bombing the ball inside 50 because they're not tall enough. Sharman and Membry at the minute are the two forwards, but they're just not tall enough to get the job done.
Stewart into Holmes at half-back, tucks the footy under his arm, kicks long up towards half-forward. No mark claim. It's gathered by Bowes. He blazes inside 50. Rowan came charging out. Battle back with a flight. Spills out to Manor. End over end. Puts through Geelong second. The perfect Cromming goal as Shannon Neal did the work in the air. And Sean Manor is looking every bit a regular Cat as the run towards September starts to heat up. Geelong 2 straight 12 to St Kilda 1 behind. 10 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport.
Well, there's 3 ways you can score in football, and kickouts is the one that has got the lowest percentage half, and Geelong took that full length of the ground without St Kilda touching the football, and classy little finish by Manor, but Saints have got to be a little bit more aware from the Geelong kickouts.
It's funny, isn't it, kickouts? If you get it through that second kick, more often than not, the game will open up because teams press so high with their kicking zones, kicking press. Once you get it through that second possession, you can get it out the back. If you get it out cleanly like the Cats did on that occasion, you're always going to find some space to work in. Sean Manor, geez, a great story. Has had a really big impact, I reckon, as you said, Clinchy, getting into this team. He'll be a part of September. Tackling machine, forward pressure machine, but gets up and down the ground with great efficiency as well. Fine player.
So the Cats with the first 2 of the game as plays restarted in the middle of the ground. Hand pass comes from Steele back to Marshall, who shoves it on his boot to get it to half forward, where Wilson will beat it for St Kilda. He curves around the kick and sends the ball inside the forward arc for St Kilda. But this time it's Lawson Humphries who sits back and intercepts the footy for Geelong. His kick not great off the boot, but Brian Myers can take the mark. Left half back for Geelong. He'll wheel around and put it on his boot, going for distance. Wood got 2 hands to it, couldn't collect for St Kilda. Dempsey there can for Geelong. He hand passes it to Manor. Taps it cleverly to Close. Goes back to Manor. He'll have another shot at goals. It's offline, and this one will only register a minor score for Manor. So a goal and a point to Manor now. It's Geelong 2-1, leading St Kilda just 1 behind. 12 minutes played in the first quarter.
A goal apiece at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows leading by a point, 1-2-8 to Port Adelaide 1-1-7 in their annual showdown clash. Wilkie at half-back sends the Saints around the outer wing and Byrne takes the mark. Left half-back on the City side. Geelong 2-1-13 to St Kilda 1 behind. Ryan Byrne almost ran his way into a dead end against Close. He has support with Wilkie. Fires the hand pass back to him. His hand pass missed Webster. Has to try and clean it up on the wing. Hand pass to Butler. Cuts away from the tackle. He gets the hand pass away to Wilkie at left half-back. The former accountant kicks long towards half-forward and Cooper Sharman flies. He takes the mark. They have it at half-forward. Inside 50. Kicks to a one-on-one. Good mark. Wilson tried to wrestle, but the impressive Lawson Humphreys takes the mark for Geelong. Switches into the defensive 50. Hand pass to Dangerfield. Kicks out to the dock swing. It's over the head of Jeremy Cameron and Battle. Cameron runs back onto it. Hang on. Umpire says it was a Shepherd.
Oh, no, umpire. That is absolutely great body use to protect the drop zone. Yes, he didn't touch it, but that's not a free kick. That is a really, really, really poor call.
It's fair to say Chris Scott didn't see it that way in the coach's box.
So now it's up to Josh Battle and St Kilda to see what they can do with it.
You see that play by Jeremy Cameron then. You see that 10, 12 times a game. Easy.
So Josh Battle goes long to half forward and it's Holmes who can pick it up for the Cats. Hand passes it to Bowe. So again, the Cats will send it back down the wing to their advantage. It'll be picked off by Jones here though, who can hand pass across to Battle. He'll go quickly inside 50 for the Saints. Even mark can be taken at the back. It was Henry. And it's Jack Henry at the back of the pack who holds on to the mark for Geelong. So a few balls going in there from St Kilda, but being able to be picked off by the Geelong defence so far in the first quarter. As Henry's kick goes towards Dangerfield and Zach Jones will be pinned for a hold on Danger. We'll have the free kick at centre wing.
He thought about taking Jones on and he's run into a dead end, holding the ball.
Well done, Zach Jones. Absolutely brilliant.
Got a good start. 7 disposals, 4 clearances, 3 clearances, 4 contested.
And pass around the back to Brad Hill, who uses it superbly once more. Spots up Higgins, who marks out to the right just inside the 50. All set up by the tackle from Zach Jones as Dangerfield trying to take him on.
And that's the kick. That's where you've got to drop the eyes. If you're the Saints, you've got to drop the eyes. You haven't got the biggest forward line. Higgins, these type of guys can come into the game if you drop your eyes and hit that easy target.
Jack Higgins, the Saints' leading goal scorer last season. He leads the way once more with 31. From out to the left on 50, it's across the face of goal. Sharman flies in the back, Butler front and centre. Hand pass to Wilson, swings onto his left. Just can't work it back enough. This is to the left-hand side. The Saints have 2 behinds. Geelong 2-1-13, 15 minutes gone, opening quarter on ABC Sport. Meanwhile, at the Adelaide Oval, it's the Crows who lead by 2 points early against the Power.
Just been watching a match-up, Mullen on Bradley Hill. Looks like Mullen's going to go everywhere with him and been really, really physical with him, not letting Bradley Hill get goal side.
So Jack Bowes looked towards the City wing, then decided to go to the Docks wing. It's where a pack forms. Wood can bring it down to ground. He'll go after it again. It's Geelong that'll emerge via Humphreys, who can hand pass it across to Atkins, who then kicks down the wing. There'll be 2 Saints chasing after this one. It's Wilkie and Howard. Howard will lay a block on Neil. Wilkie's got it. He's indecisive about what to do. He shoves it on his boot. It's a tough kick for Wood to hang on to. He can chase after it and pick it up. His hand pass picked off superbly by Stewart. He'll have a long kick right to the top of the goal square. Great mark by Henry. Ollie Henry running back, holds on to the grab. And Geelong will have another shot at goal. And it'll be just a few metres out, tight angle.
Love the way the Cats defended Wilkie and half back there for the Saints. He tried to cut back in a couple of times. They just kept pushing him and making sure that the only place he could go was the boundary line. But he wanted to come back in, which affected his disposal the time he had. That's where the intercept happened with Stewart. That's why we've got the result we've got here at the moment.
Ollie Henry in his second season as a Cat snaps towards goals. And he's got it. He's 28 for the season. And it's the Cats' 3rd for tonight. Their lead extends out to 17 points early. It's Geelong 3-1-19. St Kilda just the 2 behind. 16 minutes played in the first quarter. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, some individual brilliance there by Tom Stewart, who he's so aggressive. We know he can play that defensive mid-roll now that he's added to his game, but he just wanted that ball a little bit more than everybody else and attack the goal front where Henry was good enough to misstep his opponent and take a really good mark. And a classy finish around the body that everybody seems to be. You see Draper last night?
Yes.
He was directly in front, held the ball out. Oh,
is that what you'd be teaching the young kids, Boomer?
No, I won't be teaching that when you're 15 directly in front. Maybe from the boundary.
So Geelong have the opening 3 goals of the match as the bounce is going to be recalled, spraying out to the left. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Jess Webster down on the boundary. Daniel Harford and Brent Harvey, your team for Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport. Tom Atkins, he breaks away from the centre clearance, kicks up towards half forward. It bounces in front of Neal. Webster tries to slap it down, but it's never who read it best. Hand pass to Shannon Neal. Little fumble in the right forward pocket. A centering kick. Kicks towards Myers. He almost juggles the mark against Burns. Myers hand pass to Close. Look away, hand pass to Stewart. Tries to use his body as a battering ram as he runs into Wilkie, who brings Geelong 4A to a halt. He was the one man standing in the way. A ball up 45 metres out from the Cats' goal.
Geelong ahead by 17 points as the umpire tosses it up. Dangerfield tries to gather it, can't collect it cleanly. Then Close will go in, battling with Wanganeen Miller. Ball falls to the ground. It's cleared away by Hunter Clark. Outside of defensive 50 for St Kilda. Caminiti runs onto it a long way from home for the forward. And here's Lawson Humphries at the back for Geelong. Can pick it up, a spiralling ball inside 50. It's punched away. Mitch Owens could be able to run onto it. He doesn't read it well enough to get it. So it's the Cats here who'll have another chance. Henry hand passes to Nevitt. Hand passes it across to Atkins. He'll flick it to Bowes, who kicks to Close in the pocket. He can't take the mark. Can tap it down to Kolajasny, who moves it back out of the 50. And Bowes will have another go. Kicking it through, but this time Mitch Owens, good positioning, able to take the mark for the Saints. And he'll hold on to it in defence as everyone catches their breath a little. St Kilda trailing by 17 points.
There's only 2 players outside the defensive 50 for the Saints when he marked that, so that's the reason he had to sit on a little bit.
Has to kick long up towards Cooper Sharman, who's outnumbered, but the ball comes down. Butler's first onto it, but he's locked up by Nevitt and Zach Guthrie, and the umpire will ball it up. So the prize, I guess, for Geelong tonight is if they can beat the Saints, they'll secure a top 4 finish. Likewise for Port Adelaide in the showdown. Opening 3 goals of the match, while St Kilda, Ross Lyon said during the week he'd be happy to play the role of the Grinch and spoil the party. A clearing kick in the end by Sharman up towards the wing. Caminiti's outnumbered and Jack Henry provides good support. And Lawson Humphries, his first-year Cat, continues to impress. The Western Australian turns and comes inboard. Shares it with Myers, who's going to give it back to Humphries. He's still at centre-half back. It's Geelong 3-1-19 to St Kilda 2 behind. Short into the middle of the ground of Bowes. His kick gets smothered. Pinballs off Sharman. Back to Humphries. He's composed as he swings onto his right-hand side and chips it to Myers.
Brian Myers moves the ball on quickly. Cameron will take it 15 metres ahead of him. So still a couple of kicks from goal is Cameron as he finds Humphries running down. Centre half forward, there he is. Holding on to the mark. He can go directly to Close, leading straight at him. And Close holds on to the chest mark.
He's a beauty, Humphries. He's a beauty. Reads the play magnificently. He's had 9 disposals, equal game high this term. He's had 4 in the last minute, so that helps. But just reads the ball really well and makes very clear decisions. And just pulls the trigger, just backs himself in all the time.
So Brad Close gets the shot now. 45 metres out from goal, almost directly in front. Launches the ball towards goals. And he misses to the left-hand side.
Too busy thinking about weddings.
Did get engaged during the weekend. He's also a collector of footy cards.
Is he?
So, yes. So I'd like to know if you two have some footy cards of yourself, as it's Geelong ahead by...
I bought all of them, Loss. Nobody else would buy them. I had to buy them.
That's a good question, Loz. As Howard kicks the Saints up towards the wing. Blitzav's dropped the mark. Caminiti had to be careful not to make high contact with Blitzav's. Gathered by Higgins. Hand pass to Paddy Dow. Sidesteps Guthrie. Hand pass back to Battle. Needs support. Sinclair just jams it on the boot. A high kick which Jack Henry sits underneath, waiting for it. Can't complete the mark. Regathers though. Hand pass away to Dempsey. Left half back for Geelong. Hand pass to Humphries. Back to Dempsey. Has to kick off the outside of the boot. It's close to the boundary line. Cameron flies and off hands it goes out of play. The boundary thrown in front of the 2 benches. Geelong by 18 points. 3-2-20 to the Saints 2 behind.
Remember when the footy cards used to get all the set and they'd make a big picture on the back
and get the chewing gum in?
Yeah.
Yeah, the chewy was
picture
good.
was the key to the whole thing.
Yes, usually Premiership Cup, wasn't it, I think?
Well, no, it changed every year.
Oh, okay. I can remember one with the Premiership Cup.
I think I've still got a folder of them somewhere in a cupboard as Dangerfield gathers for Geelong, kicks up towards Holmes at half forward. He's kicking inside 50. Battle dropped the mark. Ron gives the pressure. Hand pass back to Dougal Howard. Kicks a high relieving kick where Marshall just shoves Stanley out of the way and takes the mark.
Marshall to Hill. He kicks between 2 Geelong players. He goes out wide. He's looking for Membry. It's Henry that comes across and uses his body so well to nudge his opponent off the footy and take the mark for Geelong. Hand passes back to Stewart, who goes even further back defensively to Kolajasny. He had a bit of space to take the mark, and he'll take his kick from the defensive goal square.
And that was the kick I was talking about from Brad Hill. It was under pressure, and it's just long and high. Geelong are going to be way too dominant in the air with their tall defenders.
It's actually a good effort by Henry, because Membry just came on, he had to cover. He's sitting in space, and then had to come across and cover the man as well.
So kick comes outside a defensive 50 to the wing, where Ollie Henry can collect. Flat ball down the line. It was a good kick too.
They
The mark's
get
taken by
goal
Mullen.
side so quick, don't they?
So then Mullen kicks to Myers, another mark. We'll go to Manor, and it's Manor who'll just chip it further forward. Close is there. He can gather on the second attempt. Hand pass is high. Wanganeen Miller is there for St Kilda. He'll hand pass it away to Hill. And St Kilda might be able to go on a run here. Down the city wing to Wanganeen Miller. He's stopped by Myers, who goes for a tackle. And then the ball spills out of the boundary line. So Geelong able to stop St Kilda in their tracks. And we'll have a throw in between wing and half forward for the Cats, who are leading by 18 points, 22 minutes gone in the first quarter.
Well, they're the number one tackling team in the competition, the Cats. They give you no time and space, and we're seeing a fair bit of that tonight. And as a result, they're getting some very good turnover opportunities.
Daniel Harford with you on ABC Sport. Thrown back in. Stanley wins down the tap to Holmes. He breaks away from the stoppage. Drives the kick inside 50 over the head of Rowan. And Callum Wilkie is able to take the mark. Only about 10 metres out from his defensive goal. He looks out towards half-back, and Mason Wood backpedaling. Takes the mark in front of Ollie Dempsey.
Where would they be without Wilkie, you reckon, the Saints?
Yeah, certainly conceding a lot more goals. What a find he's been, the mature age recruit from Adelaide. The kick up towards Butler and Higgins takes the mark from the Mason Wood kick. Just in front of the St Kilda bench, the two behinds of the Saints. Geelong 3-2-20. Risky kick into the middle of the ground. Owens had to put his body on the line. Cannons into Stewart. Spills out to Humphrey. Another great kick up towards half forward, and Dempsey marks.
Dempsey spins around and kicks right to the top of the 50.
Oh, free.
Mark will be taken here by Neal. Long kick inside 50. It'll be a 1-on-3 here if anyone can come and meet Henry. They can't. And Jack Henry, or Ollie Henry rather, takes another mark in the forward 50 for Geelong.
So Stewart's ability to just impact that ball at half-back and get it to ground. Quick kick out. Dempsey realised what was happening pretty quickly. They were going to get possession, jump forward of his opponent. They get the kick over the congestion, and all of a sudden they've got spare players inside their forward 50. But Stewart's one-on-one win to get that to ground was brilliant.
So Ollie Henry's already got a goal from snapping from close range. This one will come from about 35 metres out on a 45-degree angle. So he completes his run-up. It's a flat kick towards goal, and it's totally offline all the way to out of bounds. So it'll be a St Kilda free kick. No change to the score. It's Geelong ahead by 18.
Jess Webster on the boundary.
Just had a look at Ryan Burns on the Saints bench. He had his hamstrings worked on and did a bit of a fitness test up and down the boundary line. It looks like he's going to return to the field and give it another go, but maybe feeling some tightness there. A reminder too of the subs tonight: Hugo Garcia for the Saints and Mitch Duncan for Geelong.
Thanks, Jess. Geelong by 18 points as Wilkie short into the back pocket. And finds Jack Steele. The St Kilda captain sends it up towards Marshall. In front, Stewart rises and punches it out of play. A boundary throw in between wing and half forward for Geelong. The Cats by 18 points, 25 minutes gone opening term.
Bit of a sign of the luxury that the Cats have got at the moment too, Boomer, with Mitch Duncan playing as the sub tonight.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's just the rotation system that they have. Zach Tui has been up here a couple of times and been rotated heavily, but now Mitch Duncan as the sub.
Trying back in, Stanley wins down the tap for Geelong, but it's Marshall who gathers. The Ruckman's hand pass back to Jones. He had to try and extract it. Hand pass to Owens and back to Zach Jones. Runs to the centre of the Docks wing. Pulls his kick up towards Caminiti and Membry. Caminiti just cleared a space and Membry came floating in. Took an excellent mark at right half forward. As Clark runs into the umpire in the middle of the ground.
This is the kick. This is the kick. It's a dump kick.
Tim Membry just drives it long. Have a fly at that if you can. It clears Caminiti. At the back it might work. Wilson trying to get a boot to it. He might have got one. The lunging effort by Ollie Dempsey. He might have missed it. And that is the result. St Kilda have their first goal. Darcy Wilson at the right place at the right time. And I'm sure that will frustrate Chris Scott, given they've had some misses at the other end. But the Saints are finally on the board. 1-2-8 to Geelong 3-2-20.
I'm not putting that in the book just yet.
Hold fire.
Darcy Wilson.
He's not celebrated one bit.
Doesn't look like he kicked that. No, you're right. He hasn't celebrated. He was really questioning what was going on. He's back to goal, ready to set up for the zone. I'm not putting that in the book just yet.
Threw a left boot at it. I think you're right. I think he's missed the boot and it's come off his knee.
There's no hands up. That's usually when you can tell.
Here's the reverse camera.
Oh, no.
No,
I'll put it in my
Ollie
book.
Dempsey actually was the last to touch it. He slapped it through with his left hand.
That's what I thought in real time. It hasn't even gone near his leg.
So he's had a fresh air with Darcy Wilson in the end. Never got any contact on it. Reverse camera makes us look like fools.
We had the bad view from here behind the situation.
So unfortunately,
You can tell by the player, can't you? He gave us nothing.
He gave us 0.
Unfortunately for St Kilda fans, that wipes their only goal off the board, and they now have 3 behind. So Geelong 3-2-20. And for Ross Lyon, the challenge around scoring has been one of their big issues throughout 2024.
Yeah, that's spot on. They're the 4th worst attack, 15th ranked scoring team in the competition. The Saints just cannot connect in that forward area of the ground.
Zach Guthrie brings it back in, and then Geelong want to use it quickly down the Docks wing. It was close to hand pass it to Rowan. Wood was there to get a hand in it, intercept and hand pass it away to Howard, who dropped the footy. Wilkie can collect, and he'll hand pass back to Clark. Shoves it on his boot to get some distance for St Kilda, and he goes down the line, but it's Blitzard sitting back there for Geelong to hold on to the mark.
The 15th for inside 50s per game. The Saints, they just don't get enough when it comes to opportunities. When they do, when they transition from the back half, they've talked about this all year, they're actually not too bad when they get some flow into their game, but once they have to get held up, they just cannot penetrate the 50 with any precision.
Geelong's defence working well too in this first quarter as Bo's kick goes out to a pack and then out of bounds.
Well,
throwing.
Hitting straight at the top of the noggin.
Ron Hunter Clark shaking his head. How did I miss that?
Maybe it was the lights. I'm not sure.
You can always blame the lights at Docklands, can't you?
Well, if you do that, you do have to put your hand up and just pretend you're with the light, at least. That was silly.
So the ball's tossed in, and it'll be Steele with the footy. He's been tackled, but can get a kick away. It goes close to the boundary line and over the boundary, right where the interchange gates are.
Deliberate. He was getting tackled by 3 blokes.
Didn't have much of a chance Steele to get rid of it, but it's Stewart with the free kick who kicks long down the line to a pack. And Marshall's the one to pick it off for St Kilda. They're trailing by 17 points, haven't scored a goal yet in this first quarter.
Would you guys agree with you, Boomer? Good mark to Marshall.
Marshall up towards the wing. Caminiti and Owens in the pack. Membry gathers, kicks up towards Higgins. Is there time? No, there's not. He'll have a shot after the quarter time siren. He's trying to get back and go a barrel, but he's a good 75 metres out.
Well, that's smart. You get a stat for it. Good on him.
And Myers has raced back, really seeing that they need someone there. So a barrel from Jack Higgins, and he hasn't got it all that well. Guy Myers underneath it like a fielder down at fine leg or deep third, and he was able to take the mark. So, yes, St Kilda held goalless for the first time since round 4. Geelong leading by 17 points at the first break. And St Kilda's lowest opening term since round 18 last year against the Gold Coast. Geelong 3-2-20, St Kilda 3 behinds. The goals coming through Henry. That's Ollie Henry, Neil and Manor for the Cats. Meanwhile, at the Adelaide Oval, it's the Crows who lead by 2 points, 2-5-17 to Port Adelaide 2-3-15. And there is an ABC call of that game available. It's on the ABC Listen app. Just click on the AFL Extra button. Great to have your company for Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
WORDGURU. Out of Tim Minchin, Zoe Coombsmar and Tom Gleeson, who's best at spelling?
Does anyone really give a hoot about spelling anymore?
Based on the international hit series, join Guy Montgomery and Aaron Chen, challenging Australia's top comedians in a brand new contest of skill.
It's like mixed martial arts, but with words.
And no martial arts.
Guy Montgomery's Guy Mont Spelling Bee.
Watch them squirm.
Premieres Wednesday, August 14 on ABC TV and ABC iView.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Is this a danger game for Geelong, or can they secure a top 4 finish against the Saints?
Outer side of the ground, you can find Dangerfield, who marks on the outer side, plays on quickly, inside 50 for the Cats, marks Neil. Shannon Neil, 30 metres out, 45-degree angle. The Cats are off to the perfect start.
Stewart into Holmes at half-back, tucks the footy under his arm, kicks long up towards half-forward. No mark claim. It's gathered by Bowes. He places inside 50. Rowan Camp charging out. Battle back with a flight. Spills out the Manor. End over end. Puts through Geelong second.
Kicked off superbly by Stewart. He'll have a long kick right to the top of the goal square. Great mark by Henry. Ollie Henry running back, holds on to the grab. Ollie Henry in his second season as a Cat. Snaps towards goals. And he's got it.
the 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio
ABC Sport Digital.
and on the ABC Listen app.
Quarter time at Docklands for Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Geelong in control, leading by 17 points, 3-2-20 to St Kilda, 3 behind. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Jess Webster's down on the boundary. The thoughts of our experts, the AFL Games record holder Brent Harvey alongside Daniel Harford.
Yes, well, Clinchy, through that quarter, you mentioned that Ross Lyon said he was happy to be the Grinch. Well, unfortunately for Ross, St Kilda have to kick a goal to win because Geelong have already kicked 3. So it doesn't look like happening, unfortunately, at the minute. Right now, they're inside 50s. I mentioned their tools are Membry. Who was the other one down there? Sharman. Caminiti hasn't touched the football, I don't think. And Sharman, they're just not big enough just to dump kick the football. Whether that's a quick play or a held-up play, they've got to drop the eyes. They did it once. They hit Higgins about 45 out, who didn't make the distance, but it was a better play because what Geelong do, Geelong send their ruckman down behind the ball. He mans up the St Kilda forward, and then they get what they want with Blitzarves or Henry free. So if they're just going to keep dump kicking the ball and kicking it 50 metres long and high, Geelong are just going to intercept mark. I don't know what the intercept possessions are through Geelong in their back half, but it's ridiculous at the minute, and it doesn't look like St Kilda changing. So I'm hoping the St Kilda coaches right now make that a bit of a focus. Geelong, on the other hand, they look sharp. They kick the ball well. Humphries off half-back's been superb. They look forward. Every time they win the football, they look forward and they keep the ball rolling. Hence why the forwards can get on the move and find some space. So chalk and cheese at the minute. Geelong look much superior in this first quarter. I know it's only 3 goals to no goals, but they just look far better and classier.
7 intercepts to 4 at the moment in terms of marks, Boomer, just for the stats-minded people out there. Relatively even in other categories of the ground. Geelong are controlling the marks. 35 marks is 2 minutes. That's 140 for the game if they keep that up. So St Kilda's ability to hold Geelong up and take out their space for short kicks is going to be a real, I would think, a focus for Ross in the second term to try and put a bit more pressure and close the space so that Geelong can't move the ball up and down the ground, just advance the ball at will up the ground here at Marvel Stadium, to Dockland. So I would think that they've got to find a way to be more intense at the contest, provide more pressure without creating too many more numbers up the ball. I don't think you want to drag too many half forwards up and pressure around there because Geelong are winning those contests anyway, which is what's currently happening. Try and keep 6 ahead of the footy, but get the guys around the ball to be a bit more fierce, push Geelong into the contest and have the outside space and stop them from being able to transition outside the contest, which is what's happening far too easily at the moment for the Cats. They're in full control of this game, as you're saying. Disposals-wise, Zach Jones has got 11 for the Saints. Wilkie's got 10. He's doing a hell of a job down back for the Saints. Humphries with 11. Stewart and Bowes with 9 apiece for the Cats. And they're controlling the game through the middle of the ground.
A little bit, Clinchy, a little bit surprising.
Clearance is the way of St Kilda, 11-6. That's sort of been the upside for them. And you mentioned Zach Jones, who is out of contract at season's end. So 29 years of age, very much playing for his future. But how they try and lock it in across half forward and provide more of an avenue towards goal.
He's had a great start. Well, they're just stagnant in their ball movement. When they do give it off to Bradley Hill and those types running past, they get themselves in a little bit of trouble, and that's when they have to just slam the ball on the boot and it goes 40 or 50 metres. But Geelong are just reading it much better. It's very interesting. I thought, if I didn't see the stats, it's 11 inside 50 to St Kilda to 12 to Geelong. I thought Geelong dominated, and it was probably the types of inside 50. St Kilda had a lot of shallow ones, whereas Geelong penetrated the ball and got it within 0 to 25.
That's the thing with St Kilda. They launch from about 70 to 80 a lot into their forward 50, which is most teams will work it up to the arc or just outside the arc and then wheel and find guys, spot up guys 20, 30 metres away. St Kilda get it to 70 or 80 and then launch, as you've talked about. I think it's a great observation, Boomer. Because they do that, it's the perfect spot to turn over the ball and springboard it back down the ground.
Most teams in today's football, all their score launches come from the half-back with all their link-ups. Most teams now have got a really good running half-back who gets the football in his hand, can penetrate through the forward part of the ground and kick it inside 50. So St Kilda just got to be a little bit careful still doing that.
My voice of Brent Harvey alongside Daniel Harford, Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Jess Webster down on the boundary at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows lead by 2 points at quarter time. 2-5-17 to the power 2-3-15. So Darcy Fogarty said he'd be happy to spoil Port Adelaide's season with a showdown victory. We've started promisingly there. And if you want to join us on the SMS tonight, 0437 774 774, as Liz has done from Ballarat. How far has Tom Stewart exceeded expectations since he made his appearance at Geelong? Just thought I'd throw my opinion your way, as he is an absolute gun. He is the general for Geelong as they get the opening clearance of the second quarter. Holmes gets a hand pass out to Mullen at left half forward. Hand pass just a little wide of close, and Sinclair looking for the boundary line is able to tap it across and a boundary throw in.
So even just little numbers that Boom was talking about, no flow in the game for the Saints. Mark play on percentage so far this game, 23% for Geelong, 17 to secure. So we'll keep an eye on that through the game as well.
And Jeremy Cameron, very quiet in the first quarter, just 2 touches. So Josh Battle doing a fantastic job to date.
It's an interesting matchup, isn't it, to see if he can go with him up the ground as Geelong gather through Stewart. Hand pass away to Ollie Dempsey, fires a hand pass inboard. Holmes had to wait while he was cannonaded from behind by Cooper Sharman. He gave away the free kick, and now a bit of remonstrating from Lawson Humphries as Max Holmes will slowly get his free kick.
Yeah, there's nothing untoward in that. It was just a bit of high contact.
So Holmes with his free long kick into attack for Geelong. Goes into a pack where the mark will be taken.
Good mark.
And Nevitt holds on to the footy and he'll kick from almost directly in front, about 25 metres out.
That's a rock-solid pack mark in amongst 4 or 5 bodies there. Just pushed off his opponent and was able to get to the ball first. Disappointing real defence there from Burns, you'd reckon. Heard Jess talking about he's checking himself out for an injury before. Maybe he's got a problem.
So Nevitt from almost in front. Umpire doesn't have to move. Nevitt returns back to the top tier and he slots through a goal for Geelong. It's the Cats' 4th of the night, 4-2-26. St Kilda just the 3 behinds after a minute and a half in the second quarter, and Geelong already another goal on the board. They're ahead by 23 points. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts Daniel Harford and Brent Harvey.
Well, that's both quarters now. They've kicked the goal within the first minute and a little bit, the Cats, and that one come from a centre bounce and a clumsy free kick. I'm not sure who it was from. Zach Jones maybe.
Cooper Sharman was it? The free kick.
Yeah, just a little bit high, and it was a good kick because he attacked the top of the goal square. And when you've got the tools there, you can do it. Stanley was down there, who probably should have taken the mark, but Nevitt right in front took a little screamer. It was a good mark, and really it was an uncontested mark in the end, wasn't it? It was a pack mark, but it was uncontested, if that makes sense.
It's 193 centimetres, so he's a bit taller than what you'd imagine, sort of in the Paddy Cripps sort of territory. Haven't seen him provide that element of his game, but he did then. As Stanley wins down the tap in the middle of the ground, looking for Stewart. Sliding in down low, Dow loses it though. Geelong with a hand pass to Dangerfield from 52. Goes to home and clears the goal line. Ollie Henry lets it sail through. And Geelong have the opening 5 goals of the match. 5-2-32 to St Kilda, 3 behinds. And from the danger zone, outside 50, Paddy went whack.
Oh, Paddy went whack. I like that, Clinchy. Nice work from you. The problem, we talked about the clearances at quarter time. It was 11-12 and 12-11 in favour of St Kilda. The centre bounces are 5-1 in favour of Geelong. So every time the ball goes back to the middle of the ground, it's an absolute demolition. And that's where you get your territory from, Boomer. The 6-6-6, you can't get your numbers back in those situations.
Defenders can set up the ground.
Yeah, so it's a really good opportunity. And at the moment, Holmes and Dangerfield and Stewart, along with Reece Stanley, are dominating the Saints mid. So Jones, Steele, who's the other one in there at the back there, I can't quite see, need to sort themselves out, and Marshall's got to take charge.
So 3 minutes into the second quarter and St Kilda 29 points behind as Dangerfield gets a clearance.
Other clearance.
And he gets it to the top of the 50. Wanganeen Miller, though, this time chops it off for St Kilda and he kicks out wide where Wilson can mark. Now Wilson's got the footy, but he has to wait for a flood of St Kilda players to get ahead of him, holding it at right half back for the Saints. And he'll continue along down the wing. Packle form goes out the back, and it's Caminiti. He holds the mark and then holds it above his head to show that he's taken it. He'll kick to Stock up at centre half forward, just inside the 50. Stocker's looking for something ahead of him. He might steady up and take a kick.
Can't imagine Stock's kicked too many goals this year.
Well, looks like he's backing himself. He's gone the Ben Brown run up too. He's nearly back into the centre circle.
The big Boomer bagel he's got at the moment.
He hasn't kicked a goal this year, half, you're right. And he's backing himself from kicking from about 53 metres out. So he goes on his run, skips in. Got a good kick on it. It's long and it's offline though. Ticks off the distance, doesn't get the accuracy. And just a behind for St Kilda. It's the Saints' 4th. They're trailing by 28 points, 5 minutes played in the second.
Cats want to move it quickly. Zach Guthrie brings it back in, finds Shannon Neal at left half back. They're in fast forward as they try and transition from the kick in. Neal has no easy avenue forward, so kicks laterally to Humphreys, who takes the mark at left half back. He's creative, swings into the middle of the ground, kicks to Jeremy Cameron, who takes the mark. Short pass on offer to Stewart. He picks it up just in front of the centre circles to his right. He plays on in the middle of the ground, wants to try and switch it out to Rowan. It's a risky kick. Steele slides in, makes the spoil. Caminiti tries to knock it down. Jack Henry defending desperately. Gets it out to Myers on the wing. Hand pass back to Humphreys. Goes short to Nevitt. Takes the mark in front of the AFL logo on the dock side. Geelong by 28 points. Nevitt up to half forward. Cameron out on the lead and takes the mark. Wilkie couldn't do much on that occasion. Cameron swings on his left, tries to centre it to Neil, but sliding in. Cooper Sharman takes the mark for St Kilda.
Higgins is out, if he can get it there.
Flare it out to the dock wing, or the city wing rather, where Wilson's there. Instead, he'll just hand pass it to Battle, who was standing right next to him. Battle wanted his teammates to come forward. They didn't. He can kick it down. And in the end, it's Wilson that's kept running, that picks up the footy off the ground, kicks inside 50. Mark taken by Higgins. He'll kick short to Steele, who's running along, and will mark 15 metres out from goal. So a quick play from St Kilda down the wing, and surely this will mean it's their first goal coming up for this evening.
Well, it's amazing when you keep the ball alive, isn't it? That's what St Kilda just done on the 3 marks, 3 wheel and go. Switch the ball, make Geelong actually defend instead of holding it up for 6-7 seconds every single time and kicking down the line. Good play by the Saints.
So Jack Steele will kick from about 15 metres out, slight angle. You should have no problems with this one. So kicks towards goal. And the captain is St Kilda's first for this evening. Finally, the Saints are on the board with a goal. 6 minutes into the second quarter. And the Saints are now 1-4-10 via their captain, Jack Steele. Still trailing Geelong 5-32. With 7 minutes played in the second term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Good intercept for Caminiti. It was at half back, wasn't it? He pushed up the ground to help out support. And then it was Jack Higgins. He didn't get the ball initially. He worked really hard to get forward of his opponent as they were transitioning from half back. Didn't get it. They were held up a little bit. But he kept pushing, and he was the one that marked the ball inside the forward 50 in the end. Gets that ball from Wilson and then looks inboard and finds Steele. So his work rate was what got the Saints that goal on that occasion. Good intercept down back, but Jack Higgins' work rate to get forward and be that target for them inside forward 50 was terrific.
Daniel Harford with you on ABC Sport. Back in the middle, Marshall and Stanley. The two tangle as the ball hits the ground. Clark tries to slide in. He can't get it clear as the umpire will come in and ball it up. Brian Myers on the very bottom of the pack. So the numbers come into the centre square, and it's a congested ball up in which Stanley wins down the tap. Cleverly using his body was Mullen. He pushed away Hill. Drives the kick inside 50, looking for Rowan. It bounces in front of him and Wilkie. Good clean pickup. Hand pass to Cameron. Hand pass to Ollie Dempsey. One way then the other. Sold his opponent. Burns down the garden path. Chips it into the pocket. Good clean pickup by Neil. Hand pass to Bowes. Centre and kick looking for Stengel, and he can't take the mark. Hunter Clark getting back. Takes the mark to his chest. And he's touched the footy yet, Tyson Stengel. As Clark will look to clear for the Saints.
Clark again goes down the outer side of the ground as Owens goes up, comes down, clattering down, can just get a hand pass away. It's Marshall close to the boundary line. His kick will be kept in, and it's Sharman that marks at centre wing. They're trying to go fast again here at St Kilda. It's how they got their first goal just a few moments ago. Down to Butler, who kicks to the top of the 50. Here's a mark. Membry's got it. He's looking ahead of him. He's about 53 metres out from goal. He wants to pass it off. He gets a lead. And he honours it, finding Sinclair. So Sinclair just slightly closer. He spears a pass in to Jack Steele. So Steele will have another set shot. He'll be about 43 metres out from directly in front. But going for his second goal in a couple of minutes.
He's playing like Boomer Harvey. He's their most dangerous forward at the moment. Midfield and forward.
Yes, he's if he kicks this, it's a great start by the skipper. And Tyson Stengel, 2 handballs, Clinchy, he's had.
Didn't have any in the first quarter.
So Jack Steele spins the footy in his hands, then lines up directly in front, kicks towards goals. It just drops through to the right-hand side as you hear the sighs. Oh, it hits the post in the end of the St Kilda fans and the cheer squad behind the goals at the Lockett end. So a point for Jack Steele, and it's Geelong's lead now, 21 points.
Zach Guthrie looks to bring Geelong back into play. Kicks long out to the city wing. Neil is wrestling with Howard. It clears the 2. Stengel trying to run onto it. He can't keep it in play as it goes out of play. The Cats in their traditional blue and white hoops with the white shorts, and St Kilda are in their alternative jumper tonight, the red and the black, with the black shorts and the white stick man.
Geelong's last kick out, Oliver Dempsey must have thought Bernie Quinlan was kicking in because he was standing on the AFL logo calling it for out the back.
Seems to be a set play. Marshall wins down the tap for the Saints, but Manor, red at best for Geelong, kicks up towards Rowan, can't take the mark, spills down. Brad Hill tries to just tow it out to Zach Jones, needing support, back to Battle. Stengel lays the tackle, Rowan gathers it, kicks end over an inside 50. Wilkie's in front of Neil, now he has an issue, has to try and knock it clear. Wilson knocks it out, back towards Hill, hard against the boundary, and it eventually goes out. Left forward pocket for Geelong, they lead by 21 points, while at the Adelaide Oval, it's the Power who lead by 5 points, 3-5-23 to Adelaide, 2-6-18, second quarter action there as well.
Hard to believe Geelong in just their first game at Docklands this season, coming so late in the year as the ball's tossed an inside forward 50 for Geelong. Manor can get a handball out, picked off by Sinclair though, who hand passes it across to Wilson by hands. He goes to Hunt, who kicks down the line. It's Sharman in a one-on-one with Jack Henry, who pulls the ball in. The umpire will pay it to Jack Henry. So he kicks back towards Bowes, and it's all Geelong defenders across the half-back line. No St Kilda plays in their attacking 50. The ball's moved back to College Asney. He'll bounce and bring it out the Docks hand side of Docklands Stadium. Long kick down. Jack Henry, front position, spilled through his hands. Marshall can pick it up and hand pass in the direction of Wilkie. It was good work by Rowan to barge his way through there, and in the end, Webster's pushed out of bounds. And it'll be a free kick to Webster. So a little heavy on the push, and it's the Saints defender who'll get the free kick. About half back for St Kilda. It's Geelong leading by 21 points, but St Kilda the most recent goal scorer.
The voice of Lauren Borden alongside Matt Clinch calling the action. Jess Webster down on the boundary. Brent Harvey and Daniel Harford, your team for Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport. Hill has it inside the defensive 50, looking for an avenue. That's not a good kick. Turns it over. Dangerfield juggles it on the second bite. In front of Ryan Burns, he looks up inside 50, has Ollie Henry there, Jeremy Cameron as well, getting back is Shannon Neal, brings it down to the front, Dempsey front and centre, kicks across his body.
Oh, no.
And a cruel bounce for Cal Wilkie. As it got the low bounce, end over end, and he slaps the turf in frustration as it clean bowled him and through for another goal for Geelong. Their sixth goal of the match. They're 6-2-38 to St Kilda 1-5-11. And Cal Wilkie must think, well, I did everything right, but unfortunately got clean bowled on that occasion.
Well, that's hard to explain this because he was waiting for the ball got kicked at the tip, so the ball's rolling. You think it's going to bounce up, so Callum Wilkie was ready for it, and it's done 2 or 3 little bounces in a row and straight under his armpits. Very unlucky.
That is very unlucky, Boom. Spot on. But there's nothing unlucky about the way this quarter's unfolding at the moment. They're getting mauled around the ball. Talked about it at quarter time. Had to be an area they addressed. 16-7 contested, 6-1 clearances. As a result, 6-3 inside 50s, 3 goals to 1 goal too. So it's not about that moment, which is clearly unfortunate for Saints fans. It's about what they're doing around the contest and the shape, about how they can try and start to win some of these possessions, because at the moment it's not working.
So back in the middle, it's Blitzarves who's in the ruck. He has a go at it, misses it, and the umpire will come back and restart the play in the middle. So we'll have another bounce, or a ball up now, the umpire will, as Blitzarves again rises highest. He goes up against Caminiti, then can get the footy, kicks it as he's lying on the ground. It goes up, it comes back to Jack Bowes, who hand passes to Atkins, tried to go back to Bowes, and in the end, Atkins collects it himself, does hand pass to Bowes in the end. As the kick comes out to the outer side of the ground, and it's Myers who can get it back to Bowes. He's had about 3 possessions in 10 seconds. He kicks down to the half-forward line. Here's Dempsey, who's got the ball. It's a dinky kick forward, and it's easily chopped off by Wilkie of the Saints, who has the footy, and he'll kick it to the left-back pocket to Mason Wood.
He plays on and runs the boundary line, kicks up towards Burns, who takes it high on his shoulder at left half-back. Geelong by 27 points, Adelaide by a point at the Adelaide Oval. Up to Membry, trying to fly over the top of College Asney. Comes down to Caminiti, hand pass back to Membry, to Higgins around the dock swing, to Mason Wood. Good transition by hand pass out in front of Wanganeen Miller. He tries to tap it to his own advantage, cuts past Holmes, and then Close gets the hand pass to Dow. Nice little sidestep, bumped as he gets a kick inside 50. Good effort by Owens, 1-2, down to Caminiti, into Higgins, open goal. St Kilda have their second. Jack Higgins in the right place at the right time for a small forward. And their transition work by hand up the wing, resulting in their second goal of the match. Geelong 6-2-38, St Kilda 2-5-17. Jack Higgins on the board for the Saints.
Well, it certainly wasn't perfect play, was it, Half? There was a couple of missed handballs, and Wangani-Malera luckily had the leg speed to burn off, and Higgins, like all small forwards do, get forward of the ball, and it was a really good contest in the marking by Owens. I think it may have been on who was he? Henry. So really show of strength, and brought the ball to ground, and Higgins got on the end of it. So it was a fantastic goal in the end by the St Kilda as a team. Not pretty, but effective.
Love Mason Wood's effort. He brought the ball out of defensive 50, ended up getting the ball across half forward to Wangani-Malera to get it in. Great work rate.
So bounce in the middle, and it's St Kilda who'll go again. Marshall just picked it out of the ruck, kicks it inside 50. It'll be a kick towards goal from Membry, who was pretty angry with himself the moment it left his boot. It's gone all the way out of bounds on the full. And Lawson Humphreys will be the one to bring it back in for Geelong. So a quick clearance inside 50, but not a positive result for the Saints.
Humphreys into the back pocket for Zach Guthrie. What do you make of Roll Marshall thinking, right, I'm just going to take it out of the ruck and take the clearance game out of it?
Yeah, I like that, because if he's stronger than his opponent, it makes life a little bit easier, doesn't it?
Ground level players aren't getting it done.
Yeah, and the ball gets forward, so it's good. Just Bradley Hill come off the ground, and his opponent Mullen comes straight off with him. Hill just the 5 touches to date. Mullen's had the 4 himself, so a matchup that's going to be a matchup within the game.
Jazzy's kicking up towards Myers. Ryan Burns with a push in the back in the eyes of the umpires. So Ryan Myers has it at right half back for Geelong. They lead by 21 points. Comes inboard to Humphreys, the first-year Cat, alongside Sean Manor. As he looks out towards the dock swing, Dangerfield's on a lead. He has to be perfect with his kick. Stocker makes the spoil. Danger races after it. Tackled by Stocker, spills out. Humphreys, hard pass picked off. Hunter Clark gathers to St Kilda. Swings onto his right-hand side. Kicks inside 50. Big fly from Caminiti from behind. Can't mark. Butler front and centre. Great tackle. Brought down by Kolajasny, who never lost the chase and was eventually able to drag him down.
It's a shame they didn't get a scoring opportunity there. Liam Stocker's ability to lock up Paddy Dangerfield at half-back was fantastic. Brilliant stuff. He's got the job on Danger.
So Kolajasny, long kick out. Ball falls at the back of the pack where Hunter Clark can collect for St Kilda. Kicks right into the centre of Docklands where Sinclair will mark. And then he'll go straight down the line as well, where Dow can hold on to the mark, spin around and go inside 50 for St Kilda. Holmes at the front in a battle with Membry. Membry will keep chasing after it. Guthrie's there as well. Higgins picks it up, turns around and kicks backwards. Good sight from Higgins to find Wangani-Malera, who takes the mark 40 metres out. He chips a kick forward. Surely that wasn't 15 to Sinclair. He's tackled close with the footy. Hand pass to Bowes. Geelong might be able to get it out of defence here. And that's what they do. Long kick out from the Cats will go to a pack, but it's coming back their way. Webster hand passes it across to Jones, who goes back inside 50 for St Kilda. Wood holds onto the mark, and he'll just stick with it. He's not going to chip it and make the same mistake as Wangani-Malera.
Yeah, he's got the distance in him too, Mason Wood. He's a lovely penetrating kick. Kicks some goals outside 50. But that's, again, good play by the Saints. A little bit scrappy, but effective. That's all they need to do. Keep the ball alive. They look much better when the ball's alive and they can use the pace of it.
So it's Mason Wood who'll be kicking from about 50 metres out. Slightly tougher than a 45-degree angle. As he skips in, right on the pane of 50. He lets the kick released, and it is a behind. So just a minor score from Mason Wood for St Kilda. Can't get 2 in a row. 7.5 minutes left in the second quarter. It's 20 points to the Cats lead.
Didn't get a whole piece of that, I don't think, Mason Wood. It's looked pretty flat as a kick.
Zach Guthrie kicks out of defence, up towards Mullins. It clears him. Webster at the back takes the mark. Can't pass inboard to Sinclair. The centering ball to Battle. He looks laterally. Tries to get it out towards right half forward, and Mason Wood takes another mark. This time he plays on. Swings onto his left. Don't think, just do. And he puts through St Kilda's third goal of the match. All of a sudden starting to make some inroads in this second quarter. And the margin is back to 14 points the Cats' way. 6-2-38 to St Kilda 3-6-24. And after Geelong kicked the opening 5 goals of the match, the Saints are held goalless in the opening quarter. All of a sudden now, St Kilda have kicked 3 of the last 4 of the match.
Well, they've got their hands on the footy a bit in their forward half. That's the key. Getting the ball back in their forward half. They've been able to lock it in. It's not a strength of theirs as a team through this season. They're a much better transition team than that forward half territory team, which we've talked about at quarter time. But they've done a great job, and they've got the ball offline. What I've loved in the last couple of minutes, Boom, is they've got the ball offline, open the game up from wherever they get possession back. It's not a straight line to goal, which means that if opposition defence, the Cats, obviously tonight, they can't just block up that channel. You've got to block the whole field if you do that. And that'll spread the game open and provide more holes to kick into.
So what's the response from Geelong here? As Holmes gets a clearance straight out of the centre. Darts a kick inside 50. Jeremy Cameron marks on his chest. Cameron with the footy, about 50 metres out. Quick kick finding him. Squeezes either end of the footy as he does before every set shot. To get a little steadier for Geelong. After kicking the first 5 goals in the match, the margin now back to 14 points. Good looking kick from Cameron. And it sails through the middle. Cameron with the one to steady it for Geelong in the second quarter. The Cats extend their lead back out to 20 points, 7-2-44, leading St Kilda 3-6-24. 21 minutes played in the second quarter on ABC Sports.
Centre bounce clearance half.
Yeah.
Again.
7-2 for the game, Boom.
Yeah, and that was another one from a centre bounce clearance. So Geelong all over them in that aspect. If St Kilda can even up that number in the back end of this quarter and the start of the third quarter, we might have a little ball game on our hand, but they've got to get that part right.
Still a problem, the clearance game in this quarter. Whilst they've had some territory, it's certainly not coming off the back of clearance. It's coming off the back of transition and getting the ball back. It's 8-2 clearances across the ground in the second term. They've kicked all 3 goals from transition, from turnovers from the Cats. So when they pressure the Cats and they can get the ball back, particularly in their forward half, they're a chance. But outside of that, it's a real struggle.
Centre bounce clearance 5-1. Geelong's way. Stanley wins down the tap. Holmes onto it. Slaps it forward to Dempsey. Here they go again. Got the outside of the boot. What a kick to Manor. If he meant that, give him the Rising Star Award right now.
Did he mean it, Clinchy?
Oh, you tell me, Boomer.
I'm just having a look at we've got the luxury of the replay up here.
I'm not sure it was supposed to go to Manor.
Yeah,
he knew what he was doing.
Centering kick, maybe?
Oh, he had a look.
Yeah.
The eyes went there.
There was a player over the back. I can't remember who it was. I'm not sure it was supposed to go to him. But
didn't get a big piece of it, did he? Only went probably 15.
If that.
Sean Manor, the mature age recruit from Werribee, who's had to bang his way into the AFL. He has one already, directly in front, 40 metres out from goal. He's pumping his fist before it even sails through. He knows what's required, and he is making every post a winner. His second, and Geelong back in front by 26 points. They've kicked 5 straight in this second quarter to the Saints 3-3. 8-2-50 Geelong to St Kilda 3-6-24. They are scoring at ease, and that centre bounce clearances half. 6-1 Geelong's way in this second quarter.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a real mess. We saw the one that they won. You mentioned it before when Marshall just grabbed it, just got his body in there and grabbed it and kicked it forward. That was the only centre bounce they've won. Outside of that, once it hits the deck, it's all Geelong. I mean, they've got some serious talent in there with Holmes and Dangerfield and Stewart, but the Saints have got some talent in there as well. Hunter Clark's gone in there now. Steele's there as well. Has spent a bit of time forward, and Stocker's doing the job on Dangerfield, so he goes in, although he doesn't start on him at this centre bounce.
Imagine finally getting to make your AFL debut. You play round 1, round 2, and you have to wait 3 months to play your third game. He's desperate.
His second goal in his 4th consecutive game as well. He scored 2 goals in each of the past 3 games and now has 2 tonight as well. Hand pass in the middle, picked off by Wilson. He seems surprised he even run in and got the footy, but he's got it for St Kilda, and he kicks down to Sharman. At half forward, it was that quick that everyone's got to flood back into the forward 50 to help Sharman out. He's about 70 metres out from St Kilda's goal. He looks left, he looks straight, and then he decides to go to centre half forward, where Stocker will mark. And now Stocker's standing 60 metres out from goal, unsure of where to go. He just kicks it to the hot spot inside 50, comes out the back. Stewart can pick it up. Hand pass to Humphreys, who can get it across to Bowes. Hand passes across to Dangerfield in a tough position. Has 2 goes at it. Isn't pinned for holding the ball. Although the St Kilda fans want the call, and the players. The umpire will come in and throw it up 40 metres out from goal.
Well, I don't think Paddy Dow or whoever it was from St Kilda, Wilson, picked him off. It went straight to him. He didn't have to move.
Stanley slaps it away from Caminiti, gets it to Dangerfield at half-back. Hand pass out in front of his teammate, Mano, who runs the boundary line. Kept it alive, brilliant work. Taps it forward to Cameron. They've got it to half-forward now. Stengel cuts back in on his right. Beautiful centering kick. And Close takes the mark.
Brilliant from Manor.
He gets the hand pass away to Stengel. Close trying to get his small forward involved. And Tyson Stengel doesn't let him down. Puts through his first of the evening. Becomes the 8th individual goal kicker for Geelong, and they're back out by 32 points. 6 goals straight in this second quarter to St Kilda's 3-3. 9-2-56 to St Kilda 3-6-24. Daniel Harpin and Brent Harvey.
I love that by Close. He marked the football and in every right could have had a shot himself, but Stengel, his teammate, who's a barometer for the team when he's up and about, he just gives a little handball and Stengel goes back and kicks the goal, and it's getting your teammates involved half. It's a great ploy.
Yeah, well, they love it. They work for each other. That's one of the beauties of watching the Cats play, that there's nothing selfish about their forward half in particular. They're keen to get each other in the game. What about Manners' effort on the boundary line? Just to tap that ball and just run past everyone else like they were standing still.
Fantastic work.
Brilliant work.
Umpire bounces the ball back in the middle. It's another clearance here from Stanley. It'll bounce inside 50. It'll bounce up and it'll suit Sinclair, who hurries a kick away for St Kilda. Gets it into some space. The tap will come from Stocker. Then Burns has a go as well. Higgins tries to get a hand pass away to Wilson, who just hurriedly had to hand pass it. It's Humphries who can collect for Geelong. Hand pass to Holmes. He'll kick right to Cameron. Ball spills out of his chest. And Clark's there for St Kilda. He tries to hand pass it away. Wilkie will pick it up and just shove it on his left boot to get it as far as he can. And Cameron marks it. He'll hand pass to Stewart, who's taken in a tackle the moment he gets the footy. And Caminiti piles on as well, but the umpire will come and throw the ball up. Right at centre wing, it's Geelong ahead by 32 late in the second term.
Strange handball by Cameron, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was called, touched off the boot, so he just gave it straight to Tom Stewart. You take the contact and deal with the problem. As Lawson Humphrey gets the hand pass for Geelong. Out to Holmes, who links up with Manor on the wing. Cuts back inboard to Humphreys. Just spotted Tom Atkins out of the corner of his eye and was able to dink a kick up the wing on the dock side, and he marks in front of Ryan Burns. Hand pass to Myers running the boundary. Has a bounce and it doesn't come back to him at right half forward. Has to try and cut around. Stocker did that all too easily and then chips it inside 50. And Stengel takes the mark in the right forward pocket, 45 metres out from goal.
Great call.
Kick on a 45-degree angle.
Spot on, Clinchy. Liam Stocker's effort there was poor, allowing him to come back in. Had him toasted.
Was he trying to corral him at
I don't know what he was trying to do. We'll check on the replay, but he had him toasted if he wanted to, and he was allowed to just stroll back through way too easily. Just overcommitted, almost tripped on the replay, actually.
Well, when Myers took the bounce, the ball spilled out. His eyes go down off the player onto the ball to pick it up. That's when you can charge and press.
Yeah.
Tyson Stengel, having kicked the last goal of the match, he's out to the right. He'll kick from just inside 50. Comes in, sets flight. It's left, it's trying to work back, but it won't come back enough for minor score. And Geelong lead by 33 points. It's a game-high lead after 6 goals to 3 in this second quarter. On the Adelaide Oval, it's the Crows who hold a 4-point advantage over the Power.
Wanganeen Miller with his kicking. It was almost dangerous. Steele was able to mark and then get it back to Wanganeen Miller, who shoves it on his boot. And it goes out of bounds on the full. So the ball will be handed back to Geelong, and it'll be Ollie Dempsey with it. Outside, the outer side of the ground, about 70 metres out from goal. Ollie Dempsey will take his opponent on, get some distance on his kick. Long inside, it'll bounce inside 50 for Geelong. Battles in there for St Kilda, trying to gather the footy. He's lying on the ground with it in his arms. And the umpire will come in and throw the ball up about 20 metres out from goal.
If St Kilda win this, it will be a repeat inside 50 because Geelong is set up beautifully behind the football.
So Burns tries to gather it. He's taken off the footy and the umpire says that was illegally.
Or a free kick.
So it'll be a free kick for Burns, who goes to Wanganeen Miller, who's just sitting in the left back pocket, and will chip it towards Wilkie. So St Kilda trying to move it out of defence now. They've still got another chance to score a goal late in the second quarter. After making some inroads in the second, it was all Geelong in the last few minutes to get it to a game-high lead as Atkins picks off the kick from Wanganeen Miller. Hand passes, but it's close to the boundary line. We'll have a throw in between wing and half forward for the Cats, who have got a 33-point lead late in the second term.
Gary Rowan has had one of the all-time great Nilly games. nearly taken the mark, nearly got the ball, nearly did everything, but he's only had the 3 touches. He needs to get involved a little bit more.
Thrown back in, Marshall and Stanley in a tangle. The ball spills clear. Stewart tries to knock it out. Manor has a second go at it, tries to fend off Burns and somehow dinks the kick in the middle of the ground. Found Mitch Nevitt. It was all intended. Geelong are playing with that sort of consistency at the moment. He drives it inside 50 in the direction of Neil. Clears his fingertips. Wets the tackle and brought down. Is that holding the ball? No whistle. Great lunging effort by Stengel. Not rewarded. Spills out the way of Myers. Hand pass looking for Mullen. Can't take it cleanly. Saints desperately defending. Clark can't pick it up. Never can. He's hand pass in the direction of Wanganeen Millerer. He's worked off the footy. Has another go at it. Kicks around his body. Up to the wing. Sharman caught behind and Jack Henry takes the mark for Geelong.
Jack Henry standing at centre wing. Long kick into attack for the Cats. It'll go long to a pack. Henry had a go at it. Couldn't take it. Clark tries to clear it for St Kilda. It'll ricochet back for Geelong. Manor pushes it away. And it'll be a free kick going the way of St Kilda against Sean Manor. And it'll be Wanganeen Millerer to take the kick for St Kilda.
We're under siege here, Loz.
Seems pretty content to hold on to it. There's not long left in the quarter. Doesn't want to risk another goal or another score. So he kicks defensively to battle. Remarks at half-time in a quarter where St Kilda got their first goal of the game. They were able to work their way into the game a little more than they did in the first quarter. But it was 3 goals in a row for Geelong to end the quarter, which means it's the Cats with a 33-point lead at half-time. Geelong 9-3-57, leading St Kilda 3-6-24. The 3 goal kickers for St Kilda, it's 1 to Higgins, Steele and Mason Wood. And then the goal kickers for Geelong, it's multiple goals to Sean Manor, who's got 2, and then singles to Cameron, Nevitt, Stengel, Dempsey, Neil, Dangerfield and Ollie Henry. So Geelong by 33 points at half-time.
The Cats kicked the first 5 goals of the match. St Kilda kicked 3 of the next 4 in a period to get back within 14 points, but it was a 6-goal to 3 second quarter from Geelong that has them 33 points in front at half-time. While at the Adelaide Oval, it's the Crows who have scored another late goal to just have a narrow lead there. 6-6-42 to Port Adelaide. 4-9-33. So the Crows by 9 points. Brent Harvey and Daniel Harford with you on Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Well, the Cats didn't start the quarter super well, and St Kilda actually kept the ball alive a little bit more, and I thought that was a great play because the first quarter they were so stagnant, but they kept the ball alive. They had 3 goals each after Geelong kicked the first 2 goals in 2 minutes, and then Geelong finished the quarter so well. But they're just so unselfish. They're very well drilled, very disciplined. The way they set up behind the ball with their ruckman going back out and freeing up Henry and Blitzards and these type of guys, they're just very well drilled, and I love that about the Geelong Football Club. St Kilda, that was better. That was much better. 3 goals that quarter to first quarter was 0. So if they can get Bradley Hill involved, they can get Sinclair. I'm not sure what Sinclair's stats are right now, but I don't feel he's had a huge impact on the game. I think he's had the 12 touches, but he hasn't had his run and carry like he normally has in his metres gained. So they get the football into their hands and not rely on their captain to kick their goals from the midfield and forward, they'll be much better off.
Well, it's stoppage and clearance and territory and that sort of stuff, Boom, and they've got to find a way to stop the Cats from exiting out of the centre. It's 8-1.
Centre bounce.
8-1, the centre bounce.
So it's Steele, Dow and Jack Jones.
Jones has been in there.
Hunter Clark a little bit.
Stock has been in there when Danger's gone in because he's playing that the defensive role on him. But they just can't find a way. Marshall hasn't had any impact at the stoppage, which is really unusual. He's such a high-quality ruckman, being given a bit of a lesson by Stanley at the moment, which would be a real concern for the Saints. But so forward half is okay. When the ball's been locked into their forward 50, they've been able to get the ball, repeat entries, put some pressure on. They've limited the Cats' effectiveness, particularly in that second quarter. Not so much in the first quarter, particularly that second quarter. So they've locked onto that phase of the game. Their transition work from defensive 50 to forward 50 was good. They kicked 3 goals in transition in that second term. So they've got that box checked at the moment, but it's contest and clearance, which is where they're being mauled at the minute. And that's got to be the area that Ross Lyon, which I'm sure he would be, is addressing at half-time. They're minus 10 for contest. They're -6 for clearance, but -10 for centre bounce clearance. So that's a real problem for them going into the second half. They've got to sort that out.
Geelong have just got so many players that can go through there. So it's not happening for Dangerfield. Holmes can go in there for a couple of centre bounces, and they just got more variety when it comes to the clearance part of the game, whereas St Kilda are just relying on too few. Zach Jones has had a decent start with his clearance. He's had 3 for the Saints and Steele as well. So, yeah, just more options for the Cats in the clearance part of the game.
Lawson Humphries leads the way with 19 disposals.
Been good, hasn't he? Uses the ball well.
2 inside 50s, 7 marks. So Patrick Dangerfield said we knew we had someone special. He can kick on both sides of his body, and when he got into the side, he was most likely not going to leave the AFL side. It was just getting him that experience that he was ready to take the leap. So Bowes with 16, Myers with 12. Dangerfield himself has only had the 9 disposals, and Jeremy Cameron has just kicked the 1 goal. So it's been the weight of many with 8 individual goal kickers for the Cats as they hold a 33-point lead, and the double chance on the line tonight.
Just on Humphries, what he does so well, when he wins the football, he sees it and just hits it. He doesn't look for a better option. Yep. It's there, and he hits the 45. A lot of other players at AFL level, they look and they think, no, I don't want to hit it. They'll go away, then they'll go back and hit it. But it gets shut down so quickly. Humphries just sees it, goes bang. I love that part of his game, left or right foot, like you mentioned.
And there's always a lateral kick, isn't there?
Yep.
So it gives him such an advantage that he can swing on the left and just hit a little 20-metre pass rather than panic. So for Saints fans, 3 goals 6 again at half-time. It's an all too familiar theme, unfortunately, apart from when they play the bottom 3 or 4 sides. And how can Ross Lyon release some of the shackles so they can try and score a little more? Keeping in mind they are, of course, missing Max King, who hasn't been their leading goal scorer this season, but he has kicked 19 goals for the season.
They've got to keep the ball in flow. We've seen a little bit of it that quarter, a little bit of chaos ball. They maybe got lucky a couple of times, but when the ball's in flow, especially against a team like Geelong who defends so well, if you don't shift their defence, you're playing to the hands. You just kick it long. And Henry and these type of guys, they just pick it off so well. It used to be Stewart, but he doesn't even have to do it anymore. He just plays more of a defensive mid.
He just generals it now.
Yeah, and they just pick it off so well. But so you've got to shift them, and you've got to keep the ball alive. We've seen their 2 goals early in that quarter, at the 6-minute mark and the 14-minute mark. Both goals come from shifting the defence and keeping the ball alive. So I would love to see a little bit more of that. I feel like they do it, but it's been more in second halves. Half mentioned they're 15th in scoring, I think you said before. Yep. Half. This is why, because their first halves are so... I mean, 3 goals just doesn't cut it. You're not beating Geelong kicking 3 goals in the first half. It's simple.
But having said that, they did start to ramp up their flow in that game. We kept had a chat about the mark play on percentage in that first quarter, 17% for the Cats. For the Saints, 23 for the Cats. In that second term, it was flipped. So the Saints went to 23%, and the Saints were able to hold the Cats to 14%. So they stopped their flow outside of the centre bounce, which was the biggest danger. So they weren't able to transition the ball as effectively, and they tried to do something about it. So at least they're trying to do something, the Saints, in general play. It's the stoppage. I'll say it all night long until they do something about it, because that's what's going to kill them in this game of footy.
I'd imagine Ross Lyon will have that very much in his crosshairs as he addresses the troops at half-time. Geelong by 33 points at the main break, while it's the Adelaide Crows at the Adelaide Oval who held a lead there as well. Still plenty to come, including the second half. We'll take you through the other results of an eventful Saturday, round 23 of the AFL. But for the moment, we'll get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News, I'm Sam Wilkinson. The Lebanese Health Ministry says an Israeli strike in southern Lebanon early Saturday has killed at least 10 Syrian nationals. The strike in Nabatea province is among the deadliest in Lebanon since October last year. Israel says the target was a Hezbollah weapons depot. Lebanon's acting health minister Faraz Abiad says Israel's recent actions suggest it's not interested in a ceasefire.
As a temporary solution, a ceasefire is extremely needed. Unfortunately, we have seen that the position of the Israeli government, they are following a very hardline approach, and a lot of the actions that they have carried out recently suggest that they don't think that it's in their interest to have a ceasefire.
Meanwhile, the UN has appealed for a humanitarian pause in fighting in Gaza following a confirmed case of polio in the enclave. The Palestinian Health Ministry says the first case of polio in Gaza in 25 years has been detected in an unvaccinated 10-month-old baby. The UN is poised to launch a polio vaccination program for more than 640,000 children under the age of 10. But Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says the challenges it faces are grave.
Health, water and sanitation systems in Gaza have been decimated. The majority of hospitals and primary care facilities are not functional, and people are constantly on the run for safety. And routine immunisations have been severely disrupted by the conflict.
The New South Wales Electoral Commission has denied a Liberal Party 4 extra time to submit nominations. The party missed a crucial deadline to file paperwork for about 140 candidates for next month's local elections. The Liberals will refund nomination fees in full to all their endorsed candidates who are left off the ballot. Some candidates are considering launching a class action for loss of councillor earnings. Former WA opposition leader Mia Davies has been pre-selected by the National Party to contest the new federal seat of Bullwinkle at the next election. Last year, Ms Davies announced she was stepping down as WA's Nationals leader and would resign as an MLA for the Central Wheatbelt at the 2025 state election. The Liberal Party will pre-select its candidate for the seat later today. Labor is yet to finalise its candidate. Ms Davies says the attack on WA by federal Labor, including the ban on live sheep exports, was the tipping point that prompted her to enter federal politics.
This is a state that delivered the Labor Party the keys to the lodge, and yet we are the state that has borne the brunt of so much of what this government has done.
A 4-year-old girl has been taken to hospital after being bitten by a dingo on Gari, formerly Fraser Island. The Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service says the animal attacked the girl near Ngala Rocks on the eastern side of the island around 11 o'clock this morning. She suffered lacerations, bruising and a puncture wound to the chest and was flown to Hervey Bay Hospital in a stable condition. Rangers are investigating the incident and monitoring the dingo. A 16-year-old boy is being charged over an alleged hit-run collision that killed a motorcyclist in Melbourne's northeast last weekend. Police allege the boy was behind the wheel of a stolen vehicle when he collided with and killed a 19-year-old motorcycle rider at the intersection of Bell and Victoria Streets in Preston. He's being charged with a number of offences, including dangerous driving causing death. Champion racehorse Black Caviar has died a day before her 18th birthday. The mare captivated the nation with 25 wins from 25 starts, taking nearly $8 million in prize money before her retirement in 2013. Among her biggest wins was the Diamond Jubilee Stakes at Royal Ascot in the UK in 2012. Trainer Mick Price has been in the industry for nearly 5 decades and says he does not expect there'll be another horse like Black Caviar.
People love heroes in any sport, anywhere, anytime. They love the heroes. And she was a hero of the sport. Why is Lionel Messi iconic? Because people love sport, people love achievement, and you couldn't get a better achiever as a sprinting racehorse than Black Caviar.
And Indonesia's leaders have marked a milestone, the first National Day celebration at a new capital city they're building in Borneo. Indonesia correspondent Bill Birtles reports.
President Joko Widodo travelled to the construction site in East Kalimantan in Borneo for Independence Day, and he was sending a message that this $45 billion mega project must continue after he leaves office later this year. An elaborate ceremony at a partially completed new presidential palace aimed to show progress and commitment. But the new city, named Nusantara, is short of investment funds and running behind schedule. Joining Widodo on stage, his successor, Prabowo Subianto, who will come to office in a few months with some other big spending priorities. But he says he will continue the project. Bill Birtles, ABC News, Jakarta.
And you're up to date with the latest ABC News. For more news at any time, you can download the ABC Listen app.
If you love country music, you'll love ABC Country.
You get a fast car.
It's Australia's home of country music. The music you grew up with.
And you'll be the captain.
All the latest country hits.
I ain't proud of all the punches that I've thrown.
And emerging artists.
Because, baby, we've been apart.
24 hours commercial free. ABC Country. It's on your DAB Plus digital radio and the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
So Holmes with his free long kick into attack for Geelong. Goes into a pack where the mark will be taken. And Nevitt holds on to the footy. So Nevitt from almost in front. Umpire doesn't have to move. Nevitt returns back to the top tier. And he slots through a goal for Geelong.
Sliding in down low, Dow loses it though. Geelong with a hand pass at Dangerfield from 52, goes to home and clears the goal line. Ollie Henry lets it sail through. Getting back is Shannon Neal, brings it down to the front. Dempsey front and centre, kicks across his body.
Oh, no.
And a cruel bounce for Cal Wilkie. As it got the low bounce, end over end, and he slaps the turf in frustration. Inside 50, Good effort by Owens. 1-2. Down to Caminiti. Into Higgins. Open goal. St Kilda have their second. The centering ball to Battle. He looks laterally. Tries to get it out towards right half forward, and Mason Wood takes another mark. This time he plays on. Swings onto his left. Don't think, just do.
Holmes gets a clearance straight out of the centre. Darts a kick inside 50. Jeremy Cameron marks on his chest. Get a little steadier for Geelong. Kicking the first 5 goals in the match. The margin now back to 14 points. Good looking kick from Cameron. And it sails through the middle.
Stanley wins down the tap. Holmes onto it. Slaps it forward to Dempsey. Here they go again. Got the outside of the boot. What a kick to Manor. If he meant that, give him the Rising Star Award right now. He has one already, directly in front, 40 metres out from goal. He's pumping his fist before it even sails through. Cuts back in on his right, beautiful centering kick, and Close takes the mark. He gets the hand pass away to Stengel. Close trying to get his small forward involved, and Tyson Stengel doesn't let him down.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
A second quarter that featured 9 goals, but it was Geelong who kicked 6-3 to extend their lead to 33 points at the main break. The Cats booted the opening 5 goals of the match. It took St Kilda until the 6-minute mark of the second quarter to boot their first goal of the match. They did kick 3 of the next 4 to get back within 14 points, but Geelong finished with the last 3 goals of the half to lead by 33 points at halftime, 9-3-57 to St Kilda 3-6-24. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Jess Webster's down on the boundary. Daniel Harford and Brent Harvey are your experts on ABC Sport. So a couple of goals for Sean Manor. Geelong have 8 individual goal kickers, while 3 individual goal kickers for the Saints. The results continue to flow through for the Saturday of round 23 of the AFL. It started with the Giants, their 7th win on the trot, 9-point winners over the Dockers, and that felt a real winner significance. 15-11-101 to the Dockers, 14-8-92. Jesse Hogan booted 6 goals. He got the 3 votes in the ABC Football of the Year. He seems certain to be the Coleman medalist this year, and what a story it is for him, with over 50 goals for the first time in his career. And then Melbourne defeated the Gold Coast by 54 points. The Demons' 11th win. There are 11 wins and 11 losses. And Jack Viney, whose name had been speculated in the media, could he...
Did it? I didn't see that.
Join his dad, taught at North Melbourne.
All you media people.
Well, he led the way for the Demons, had 30 disposals, 10 tackles, 10 score involvements, 9 clearances and 2 goals in Melbourne's 54-point win over the Gold Coast Suns, losing at home, so unusual for the Gold Coast Suns.
Without Petrarca, obviously, but Oliver didn't play as well, so it's a big win.
It's a good win considering the form they've been in the days and what they've been able to produce.
So they both felt like they were significant results until Collingwood beat Brisbane by a point, 11-13-79 to the Lions, 11-12-78. And that MCG hoodoo just won't quite go away. Every time you think they might have conquered their fears at the G, they slip on a banana peel. And Steele Sidebottom got the 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. As Collingwood mathematically is still a chance, but they would need either Carlton, Hawthorn, the Western Bulldogs, 2 of those 3 to lose to sort of mathematically keep their equation alive. So what it means tonight is if Geelong win, they will secure a double chance. If Port Adelaide win, they will secure a double chance given the Brisbane loss.
Just looking at that ladder, it looks like all 3 of them, Carlton, Hawthorn, Bulldogs, need to lose.
For Collingwood to...
Because their percentage is about 8 or 7. Yeah,
they've got the Demons next week, haven't they? Friday. Is that Friday night? It's Friday night.
Yeah, it's a big game.
I think it is.
If they win that, potentially something goes their way. They could be in the 8 on Friday night.
Friday night they could if it goes
fall
really
out
well.
Saturday.
Yeah. Going to be a challenge, but they're in it. And the way Melbourne played today, they've come back and give themselves a show of finishing off the year strongly for that game. So that'll be a nice way to start round 24. It's been a long season, Clinchy, but...
It's been a marathon home and away season, hasn't it?
But it'll be a nice way to start. And the way that they're finishing, and they're a game behind Collingwood at the moment, the D's, so they'd be pretty keen to do something about that. If they, in fact, they win it, they'll finish on top of Collingwood. Because their percentage is better anyway.
Yes.
Do they want to win it? Draft picks?
No, when you're dealing with 9, 10, 11, 12,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter, does it?
Well,
it's the same sort of play you're getting.
Yeah, it's true.
At that spot, midway through the first round, 7 to 9, does it really make a difference?
You wouldn't have thought so. Bunch of mids this draft,
yeah,
I think, early.
A lot of mids, early doors. The D's could use some mids.
Yes, definitely. It's amazing when you think that they let James Jordan go, Harms, then you lose Brayshaw.
Brody Grundy.
Grundy.
And Petrarca.
And then Petrarca goes down really early in the season. There's 4 or 5.
Oliver's had a horrible pre-season.
It's amazing, isn't it? You go from having too many to not enough.
They're a fascinating watch, I reckon, in the off-season, the dudes, because everything that could go wrong last pre-season did.
Yep.
And for this year, there's nothing that's gone right as well. So if they can pull it all together, when they've played in 3 prelims in a row, one of those led to a premiership. So they're not a bad football team. They've just had a bad year.
But they're not a consistent football team.
No, that's true, and something's certainly amiss at the moment.
They need a big forward. They need a big forward as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely what they need.
That's the issue they've never been able to address, is what they needed. They tried to get Brodie Grundy in to play the 2 rucks with Gawn.
Didn't work.
And yet it feels like with Alex Neil-Bullen requesting a trade back to South Australia at the end of the year, they've handled that as well as they possibly could. But
Ben Brown worked. He got a premiership there.
He did.
So I know he didn't have an amazing year, but he
wasn't really that pivotal player for them.
They won a premiership.
I know he won a premiership, and fantastic effort from Big Benny.
Sort of feels like his papers have been stamped a long way out in the 2024 season.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm talking early on for that
future.
move. His knees are he turns like the Titanic. He's a big turning circle. Benny Brown because of the knees now. But yeah, I think they need another really solid mid. If they lose Neil Bullen, that will be tough for them. Yep. And they just need a big forward. Go out and they had Jesse Hogan, unfortunately, didn't they?
So with
so did Freo.
With the Giants win, Sydney's win yesterday, are they the 2 informed sides, the 2 Sydney sides?
Sydney teams, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the other elephant in the finals room is the Hawks. They have to come from a long way back, of course, but they're the most damaging team in footy at the moment.
If you're going to scrape into the finals, there's one team that you don't want to play right now, and that's a young, enthusiastic Hawthorn that's up and about. That's the team that I wouldn't want to be playing.
Spot on.
They play Richmond tomorrow as round 23 continues. Players are in position. We're ready to go for the second half. Geelong by 33 points. Here's Lauren Borden on ABC Sport.
Stanley and Marshall both get a hand to it. In the end, it's cleared away by Clark. Gets to Stocker, who's pushed by Stewart, and it'll be a free kick to Stocker. Hand passes it away to Clark, running to half forward for St Kilda. Quick entry inside 50 for the Saints. Goes over the top of Wood and Caminiti. Wood goes back in to get it. Hand passes to Higgins, who hand passes away to Wilson. Just snaps it on his boot quickly. And it's the Saints this time that have the first of the quarter. Darcy Wilson didn't have much time to think about it. Just aimed for goals and puts it through for St Kilda. Geelong's lead cut back to 27 points early in the third. 4-6-30 St Kilda. Geelong at 9-3-57. Not even a minute played in the third term.
You know what happened there, Boom?
Centre clearance.
Centre bounce clearance.
It's amazing. It's an easy game, isn't it, when you think about it?
It was a free kick in the end, but they had the ascendancy with Stocker getting to the ball first, so that was the positive. So that's the start. Here we go. Something for the Saints early doors. They've cleaned up one of the areas. Now, we're a minute in, so there's a lot of minutes to go this term, but that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's a good finish too by Wilson. Just landed on the right boot and knew exactly where he wanted the ball to go. Great finish.
Just 5 disposals for a goal for St Kilda inside 30 seconds. One of 3 first-year players. Free kick in the middle of the ground, Geelong's way. Reece Stanley takes the advantage, drives it inside 50. Wilkie was able to just push off Ollie Henry and take the intercepting mark at the top of the defensive goal square. Kicks out to Jack Steele. He marks it left half back on the City side. Geelong by 27 points. Steele looks up the wing. Sends a high ball, have a fly at that as Mason Wood tries to get there late. Caminiti has to do the grunt work, brings it down to Hunter Clark, kicks up towards Higgins. Centre wing, hand pass inboard to Jones. Pressured by Blitzavs. Clark tries to cut back in boundary side. Has to dribble it back to Steele. He bangs it on the boot, kicks up towards half forward. Stocker has it spoiled away from him by Stewart, but Wood gathers. Hand pass into the middle of the ground for Sinclair. Great vision. Chips it to Rowan Marshall. So he has been a damaging forward in the last 2 weeks, the St Kilda ruckman, and able to push forward on this occasion.
That's the play that we want Sinclair involved with. He's the running halfback. Get him the football because he's a beautiful kick, beautiful user. On that occasion, just drops his eyes beautifully to Marshall. So hopefully the Saints can kick another goal and get Sinclair more involved. See a little bit more of that.
3 goals last week against the Tigers for Rowan Marshall. 5 goals in his last 2 matches. From directly in front, can this be a winning move as he comes in from 40 metres out? The St Kilda ruckman goes bang straight over the goal umpire's hat, and the Saints had the opening 2 goals inside 3 minutes of the third quarter. It's a different side. 9-3-57 to St Kilda 5-6-36. They've had 15 disposals to 1 for 2 goals.
That's a positive start. It's a very positive start, and it was transition from... It was the one-on-one intercept down the full back line from Wilkie again. I mean, he's just so important to this team. Got it out wide, and they're able to transition the ball. As you said through the second term, Boom, it wasn't always pretty, but they kept moving it. They kept getting it forward and getting numbers to the ground balls on that occasion, bringing the ball back inside to Sinclair, as you said, and he had the composure to spot up Marshall in the forward 50. But their ability to transition's fine. So Geelong need to put a stop to that. Geelong want to be a bit more secure in their position in this game. They need to be able to stop St Kilda's transition, because that's what they've done really well all night, go from D50 to forward 50.
So 2 quick goals to St Kilda to start the third term. As it comes out to Steele, he hand passes it away to Sinclair, who is running with the footy. Hand passes it back to Marshall. Puts a kick inside 50. It's Kolajasny, though, running out, that meets it for Geelong and intercepts the footy. Just chips forward to Manor. He's holding onto the ball at half back. Looks like he wants to steady things, although he doesn't really know where he wants to go, and in the end he gets a lead from Holmes and just kicks 20 metres ahead of him. Lawson Humphreys running beside Holmes, gets the hand pass and then kicks quickly down the wing where Stengel marks. Turns around, hand passes it away to Bowes. He'll take a bounce and then he'll hand pass it to Dangerfield. Right at 50. Dangerfield wants to put it in the hot spot. He puts it at the top of the goal square. Guthrie gets it. Hand passes it away to Henry. He'll hand pass it away as well. Mullen has it. He can't get a clean kick away. It comes back to Manor. He'll hand pass into some space, and in the end his hand pass goes through the goals for a behind. It's just next to the behind post. So just out of bounds for a throw-in. No incorrect disposal, and there'll be a throw-in.
No matter how the ball goes out of bounds now, the crowd just deliver it, don't they? It's amazing.
Saints fans probably had a case on that occasion, as it's tapped down by Neal to Dangerfield, taps it back to Neal, tackled by Webster, spills back out towards Dangerfield, lays a big tackle on Stocker. And the umpire will ball it up 40 metres out from the Cats' goal. Jess Webster on the boundary, no news down there.
No news on the subs, so a reminder that Hugo Garcia is the sub for St Kilda and Mitch Duncan is the sub for Geelong, who's been keeping active along the boundary line for Geelong. I think he's keen to get out there at some stage tonight, so we'll see when Geelong pulls the trigger on their sub.
And what do you reckon the crowd is, Jess? It's St Kilda's last home game of the season, so the Saints say thanks. Do you reckon we got more than 30,000?
I'd like to think, I think more than, or maybe around 30,000. I kind of expected more Saints fans to be here tonight, but I think the Geelong fans are definitely louder at the moment.
Stengel was penalised for a throw, and the Saints switch it through Wilkie to Wood, out to left half back, where Wood kicks around the city wing, and the mark is taken by Higgins. He quickly whips it onto his right boot, kicks up to Caminiti, who takes the mark. Just able to rise in front of Reece Stanley and mark out to the left, 45 metres out from goal.
Sharman, I think it is.
Yep. Yes, it is. Cooper Sharman, yes.
Transition again.
Boots.
All the way from back to forward there again for the Saints. The Cats have got a problem with this, Boom.
You know what? It was beautiful craft by Jack Higgins. He used his body superbly well. I'm not sure who his Geelong opponent was, but just nudged him under the football, and a really strong mark for a small guy.
Cooper Sharman. Out to the left, comes in from just inside 50. It's a good effort. It gets there. Firing at the right goalpost and drifting back nicely. This is the difference St Kilda side. All of a sudden they've come out and banged 3 goals to start the third term through 6.5 minutes. And the margin is back to 15 points Geelong's way. 9-3-57 to St Kilda 6-6-42. The Saints have come to life.
Well, we've seen this before, and I actually spoke about it just as the game was starting, about throwing the first punch. They wait so long in the first quarter, they didn't kick a goal. Then you see this type of ball movement, and they look like a finals team. Half's already mentioned the transition that Geelong need to be concerned about. That's full length of the ground transition there. Yeah, a couple of really good individual performances by Higgins' mark, and Sharman's mark was an excellent one as well, and a beautiful finish. But you're right, Half. There's a little bit of concern there. 3 goals in 6 minutes for the Saints, with Geelong not really looking like it this quarter.
Smacking around contest, 10-5, +5 for the quarter, +3 clearances as well. So all of a sudden, this is on its head.
That's Marshall who taps it down to his boot, kicks it off the ground. Stewart has a go. He can't get it. It's the Saints that'll go again. They'll go here. Wilson just kicks it from outside 50, and he's got it. Wilson with another, and the Saints are coming at Docklands. They've kicked 4 in a row to start this third quarter, and the margin is back to single digits. St Kilda trailing by 9 points. It's
the Saints 7-6-48, Geelong 9-3-57, and they have come to life, St Kilda, in their final home game of the season. Just 8 minutes played in the third quarter, and they are well and truly back in it.
3-1 centre bounces half. You've been looking at that all night.
Yep, spot on.
That was a really easy clearance through at the front of the stoppage. The forwards for St Kilda left it open at the top of the 52, and it's a great finish. Will G. Wilson it's a nice kick on the run, isn't he?
So having had 3 goals to half-time, St Kilda have now kicked 4 goals in 7 minutes. And Geelong all of a sudden have a fight on their hands. Marshall wins down the tap. Steele over the top of the footy. Myers over the top of him and locks it up. So Dow in the middle alongside Steele. And Stocker has gone in. Jones is out to the wing. Wilson comes up to the stoppage. Thrown in the air. Blitzavs and Marshall. Marshall wins it down to Dow. Hand pass chopped off by Stewart of the Cats. Gets the hand pass to Manor, to Tom Atkins. Kick partially smothered by Brad Hill. It spills out to Mullen. Was that a throw? It was. It was tackled by Steele.
So Steele has it, quickly moves it on, right in front of our broadcast position to Membry. He's holding on to the footy. He gets urged to play on. So he tries to dart around Bowes on the mark, and in the end decides to go back to Webster. That's the best decision he had to make. Webster kicks it to Dougal Howard, centre half back, who flares it out wide. They've switched it to the city side of the ground to Wilkie, who then kicks down to Marshall.
Yeah, great work rate by Marshall too. Fantastic.
So he's got it at centre wing. Here comes Hill with the lead. Takes the mark.
There we go.
And he'll centre the ball to centre half forward. It's Burns with the mark, and he'll go quickly. Kicks it to Darcy Wilson. Holds onto the mark. Good positioning. Could see the ball coming and just stood to wait for it a little bit and allowed Henry to go past him. Darcy Wilson will have a shot for his third.
We talked about this through the second term. St Kilda were able to get the ball offline a few times and catch the Cats' defence and defenders behind the ball just napping a little bit. So they shift the ball from the broadcast side to the open side of the ground and then back through the middle. So the Geelong defence was always moving, was always shifting. And Darcy Wilson just found himself a nice little hole to be led into there beautifully.
He's full of confidence tonight, Darcy Wilson. 35 metres out, 45-degree angle. He kicks towards goals, but he's missed. Stops the run of the 4 straight goals for St Kilda to start the third term. It means Geelong's margin dwindles back a little to just 8 points, 10 minutes played.
Cats bring it back into play through Bowes. Clears the pack of Neale and Dougal Howard. Running onto it is Brad Hill. He veers back onto his right-hand side. Drives them inside 50. Stewart's waiting from that kick. From behind, Cooper Sharman brings it down. Hand pass from Stocker to Darcy Wilson, who's had the ball in a string into the pocket. Butler underneath. And Jack Henry makes the spoil. And is out of play in the right forward pocket for the Saints. Geelong by 8 points, having led by 33 at half-time.
Yeah, I think that was a miskick there. If that ball, had it gone a little bit deeper, there might have been a bit more of a chance, the Saints, but just a miskick.
4 kicks, 2 goals, 1. Darcy Wilson, fairly important so far, you'd reckon?
Blitzavs doing the ruck work against Mitch Owens as it's thrown back in. Mullen tries to get a hand pass to half-back. Racing after it is Bowes. He's able to push his opponent off it in Steele. Hand pass up the wing. Links up with Shannon Neale. An awkward left foot kick up towards Ollie Henry. He's out number 2 on 1. And Wilson, Burns it is, and Cal Wilkie make it work. And Wilkie switches back inside the defensive 50 to Zach Jones.
So Jones with the footy can spot Mason Wood left half back all by himself on the outer wing. He'll go long down it where Webster takes the mark. So Webster's got the footy at centre wing. He can centre the ball to Burns. Just going slightly inboard to Burns, who's trying to make something happen with his hands to see who can come forward. And he'll end up going back to Webster, who holds onto the mark, and in the end he'll get a free kick as well.
They can't lay a glove on them at the moment, the Cats.
So Webster, flat kick inside 50. Here's another mark for the St Kilda. And Stocker will have it. This time kicking from 35 metres out. Almost directly in front. And the Saints just keep coming.
I was about 3 seconds too late there. I was just about to say, this is the money kick. Yeah. This is the one they've had a little bit of trouble with in the first half, and that kick by Membry was superb.
So Liam Stocker, St Kilda dominating this third term so far. He comes in on his approach, aims for goals, and he misses to the left-hand side. So now 7 points the margin Geelong's way. It's 12 and a half minutes played in this third term, and it's been all St Kilda.
just a bad technique. I know he doesn't kick a lot of goals, or probably practices, but just his technique. He was through the ball before he kicked it. He kicked it at the level of his knee, not his ankle.
And Geelong are feeling the pressure. Holmes played on in the right back pocket, changed his mind at the last moment, switched it out to Humphreys at left half back. It was spoiled away and lucky not to cost them a goal. A ball up 50 metres out from St Kilda's goal. They trail by just 7 points now at the Adelaide over the Crows by 10 points over Port Adelaide. Blitzhav somehow got it out to Atkins. Looked to be a throw. Play on's the call. Down lays the tackle. Wins it back. Kicks inside 50. An awkward bouncing ball that clears Membry. Unable to gather it was Wood. Humphreys is able to clear for Geelong. Kicks out to Dempsey at right half back. Takes a bounce and runs. Gets the hand pass to Holmes. They're on the break here. Rowan's in space. He's at right half forward. Ollie Henry on his own in the pocket. He can't get it to him. Out on the full.
He nearly did though.
And they're letting Gary Rowan know about it.
I'm telling you, he's at the nearly night.
He nearly did. That's very good from him. It was a great press from, I think it was one of Dougal Howard to come up. He's got 50 metres here.
Yeah, Gary Rowan, he needed a little bit more awareness, didn't he? He needed to know that it was someone coming from behind because they had to spare out the back. A little bit of composure.
Hunter Clark's just come onto on the boundary side.
So 50 metres, Wilkie just played on with it. Kicked to Burns, who switched it across broadcast side of the ground towards Clark. Chipped it to Steele. So kick mark game from St Kilda. Gets it to half forward very quickly.
So it's a grid from Geelong. They're not manning up. It's just a grid on the ground.
And Steele to the pack. Punch comes from Kolajasny. Lawson Humphreys there. He can hand pass away to Manor, who kicks it out to Dangerfield for Geelong. So the Cats defence working it out, and Dangerfield goes back to Manor, who's kept running, can hand pass to Cameron. It's a quick transition here from Geelong. The kick coming towards Neil. Tough to pick up, eventually does. He can hand pass it away to Cameron, who keeps it in play by hand passing it in the Neil direction. He wasn't first to the footy. He's got to go after it. In comes Atkins as well. Might have been taken high. The umpire said he was.
Pressure's up, though, for the Saints. This is good.
So Atkins taken high. Made sure the umpire saw it as well, but he'll have the free kick left half forward for Geelong.
Atkins out to the right, kicks into the pocket. Ollie Henry on the lead, getting back. Wilkie off a support as he takes the mark with Webster. Turns it, comes inboard to Jimmy Webster, 25 metres out from his defensive goal. Geelong by 7 points. They haven't scored so far in this third quarter. St Kilda have put on 4 unanswered goals. Short to Paddy Dow. The former Blue looks out to the left back pocket and finds Howard.
9-4 inside 50 St Kilda's way, but not only 9-4, just the entries that have been so good.
It seems to be the go, though, for the Saints. A kick mark game. They've had 30 marks to 7 so far in this third quarter, as it's now in the hands of Zach Jones on the wing. Looks up, finds a clean avenue, finds Jack Steele. He marks between wing and half forward, City side. Drives a long kick towards Marshall, who's gone forward. In the end, he's spoiled by his own teammate, Cooper Sharman. Marshall tries to gather loose footy. Hand pass to Wilson, awkward. Hand pass to Hunter Clark. Was he taken high? No, and the umpire will ball it up with Jack Henry and Kolajasny over the top.
Yeah, probably could have made a little bit more out of that. The two Saints forwards flew together and probably spoiled each other.
Amanidi doing the ruck work, can get it down to Wilson. He'll stream away here. He'll snap for goals. Nails it.
Good goal.
Wilson has 3, and he's created them from all areas of the 50 and beyond. The Saints are the only team to have scored in this third quarter so far.
Oh, been touched.
And he was touched. So that was a quick one from Wilson. A quick review, hit the post, and it's 6 points margin Geelong.
Kolajasny to Holmes, to Cameron, up to the wing. Manor has it. Geelong are going breakneck speed into the pocket. Rowan's there. Ollie Henry can't gather either, and it spills out in front of Shannon Neal for a throw in the left forward pocket. So St Kilda have kicked 4 goals, 3. They've had 7 scoring shots to none in this third quarter, and Geelong are just hanging on to a 6-point lead.
Wilson certainly thought it was a goal because he was in row 3 giving high fives to the
So
crowd.
did Marshall. He's in the goal square and he went up. That's what gave it away for me.
Been that sort of night in the showdown. Josh Rochelle was celebrating with the Port Adelaide fans as well, pointing to his teeth. And Santa Clark is tackled. In fact, he was the one laying the tackle as the ball goes out of play. And Tom Stewart emerges from the bottom.
So dominating possession, the Saints, unsurprisingly, with those numbers you reeled out before, 63-39. 29 uncontested marks to 7. Cats can't get near there. They've got to start to just shut out the space like they did in that first quarter and put some pressure back on this team. Otherwise, the Saints will roll through them here.
Just seeing a replay of that Darcy Wilson shot, which just clipped the padding of the left goalpost, but he's having a Darren Jarman sort of quarter. He is involved in everything at the moment. Geelong by 6 points with a stoppage inside their forward 50.
Ball tossed up, falls straight into the palms of Marshall, who just kicks it out of defensive 50. It'll be Kolajasny running onto it. He can't pick it up cleanly on his second attempt. Finally he can stream away and kick Geelong back inside 50. It's Dougal Howard there for St Kilda standing back in defence. He takes the intercept mark, shares it with Wilkie, who hand passes it away to Wanganeen Miller, and then Wilkie gets it back and this time chooses to hand pass to Jones, who puts it on his boot. It'll be a pack forming, and it's Kolajasny who runs to the front, rises highest and can mark for Geelong. He's forced to go back defensively to Tom Stewart at centre, half back. And he chips the kick across to Stanley. He's a little unsure of where to go. In the end, aims for Cameron. It tries to juggle it with his fingertips, spills out, pulls it in, just gets it out in time. Burns grabs it. Cameron's still tussling for it. Sinclair can get it for St Kilda. Hand pass it away to Clark, who hand passes it away to Butler. Butler flicks it back to Sinclair, who this time will kick backwards towards Marshall, who marks.
Here we go.
And spots something lights in the middle of the ground. Wood takes the mark. They're all on their own. Tim Membry marks in the left forward pocket. Completely uncontested.
It was great ball use by the Saints, but I'll bring you back a few moments ago where Sinclair on Cameron just got a little finger in, brought the ball to ground, and then St Kilda were able to outnumber him at ground level and run away through handball. Fantastic defensive effort by Jack Sinclair.
Keeping 6 ahead of the footy too at the moment, the Saints, so they're back in the numbers at the contest to get it done, which is happening, and that's the reason they're able to put pressure defensively on the guys behind the ball for the Cats. They've got to be more accountable when they get the ball offline, which they aren't doing at the moment.
Just one behind for Tim Membry after 3 last week. He comes in to continue the St Kilda surge and scores a level. 5 unanswered goals to start this third quarter, and this is a completely different game. All of a sudden the Cats, their top 4 double chance hopes are once more in a scrap as we're locked at 57 apiece. St Kilda 8-9, 57, Geelong 9-3, 57, and the Saints, having kicked 3 goals to half-time, have now put 5 unanswered goals in the third quarter. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Jess Webster down on the boundary. Daniel Harper and Brent Harvey to try and make sense of it all.
Oh, they're just taking the game on. They're being more assertive around the scrimmage, which is exactly what we called for at half-time. They've stopped the ascendancy from the Cats at the centre bounce to get territory, and they're using the ball. They're opening the game up, getting it back through the corridor, taking the ball offline and shifting the defence of the Cats. It's been brilliant. At half-time, it was contested possessions plus 10 to the Cats, plus 6 clearance, plus 7 inside 50s. This quarter alone, the Saints are plus 8 contested, plus 5 inside 50s.
Dangerfield's trying to do something about it for the Cats. He barges away with the footy from the centre clearance and get it deep inside 50 for Geelong, but it's rushed through for a minor score by Wilkie.
The other two things too, Marshall and Wilkie have been superb down there in this quarter.
Adelaide leading by 6 points over Port Adelaide as well, so all of a sudden Brisbane have become fans of St Kilda and Adelaide as their top 4 hopes are hanging by a thread. The kick up towards the wing, Stewart trying to take it from the Burns kick. He's locked up by Caminiti, who bounces off him to rush back to his position at centre half forward. Geelong leading by a point through that behind.
Wilkie, Steele, Marshall, they're the ones that have stood up in this term so far. You know, Wilson's had a good day in front of the sticks, or a good quarter in front of the sticks, but it's those guys. Here he is again, Wilkie.
He takes the intercepting mark from the volley, kick forward by Sean Manor. The ever-reliable St Kilda defender, hand pass to Howard. Thought about giving the hand pass back to Wilkie. Switches onto his right-hand side and kicks to Burns. Through the middle of the ground to Dow. Hand pass to Sinclair. Corralled by Stewart. High kick inside 50. Caminiti sets himself. Jack Henry in front. Play on's the call. Caminiti stops. Swings onto his right. Kicks off the outside of the boot. He's got Higgins on the goal line. And he takes the mark.
Wow.
Just swung onto the accelerator, got to the goal line, and it probably was going through, but Jack Higgins is going to kick his second.
Probably should have been Caminiti's mark anyway. I reckon that one contest.
I'm with you, Half.
So there's a goal begging anyway for the Saints. Turns out okay.
After giving up the opening 5 goals of the match, St Kilda hit the lead at the 22-minute mark of the third quarter. Having kicked just 3 goals to half-time, they have now kicked 6 unanswered in the third quarter. If you didn't see it, or you weren't listening, you wouldn't believe it. 9-9-63 to Geelong 9-4-58. And the Cats have hit the skids. St Kilda by 5 points.
It's been an amazing quarter, hasn't it? Is that 6 goals? 7?
6 to none.
6 goals to nothing. Geelong don't look like it. Paddy Dangerfield got that centre clearance there and Didn't kick the ball very well. Intercept marked by the Saints, and they rebounded. So I'll tell you what, there's some energy out there. Just little things now that they're getting little fingers in, little fists in, hands on the back of the jumpers, and every player from St Kilda getting over and patting them on the backside. It's been fantastic to watch.
What a quarter from St Kilda. Just made their way into the lead.
What's happened to Geelong? It's gone into the shell.
Cannot get near it, can't lay a glove on them. It's a disaster.
So from the middle, Marshall tapped it down. Dangerfield picks it out and hand passes it to Stanley. It's Marshall that wins it back here. Just puts the kick inside 50 for St Kilda. Membry will be running onto it. He's got close checking from Guthrie. He hand passes it away. The hand pass will go into the post from Geelong. And it'll be just a rush behind coming off Blitzarv's hand pass. So the margin back to 6 points. St Kilda's advantage.
Now, there's a stretcher at the Adelaide Oval half. You're going to have to tell me what's going on here.
Isaac Rankin
for
the Adelaide Crows is being stretchered off. I haven't seen the incident just yet, but it's not a good sign. He's okay. He's walking. He walked to the stretcher.
So Adelaide by 6 points, but Isaac Rankin being taken from the field. The Bows kick in from Geelong is intercepted by Dougal Howard. The Saints all of a sudden surged by this home crowd as he comes into the middle of the ground, and Webster takes the mark. St Kilda by 6 points. 24 minutes gone, third term in this crazy, unpredictable 2024 season. The kick inside 50. Kolajazzi in front. Got a little shove from Owens, and Jack Bowes takes the mark in the right back pocket. He was the one who claimed it on the second bite. The unlikely intercepting mark comes into the middle of the ground, still inside the defensive 50 of Blitzavs. Back to Bowes, through the middle of the ground, kicks to Stanley.
Stanley holding onto the footy in the centre of the ground. Long kick, it's high. It'll get to the top of the 50 for Geelong. Up went Neal, couldn't take the mark. Atkins can hand pass it away to Dempsey, who hand passes it away to Stengel, who curves it towards goal. The mark will be taken by Gary Rowan right at the top of the goal square. So Gary Rowan will stand on the goal square and kick from directly in front to try and stem this flow of goals from St Kilda. He eases it through and he kicks Geelong's first of the quarter. The scores are back to level. Geelong 10-4, 64. St Kilda 9-10, 64. Before we get the thoughts of our ABC Sport experts, let's head down to Jess Webster on the boundary.
Unfortunately for Gary Rowan, has just kicked that goal. The runner's just about to run out to him and tell him he's been subbed off. So Mitch Duncan has taken off the jumper. He's ready to be injected into the game. Gary Rowan's just come to the bench and he's about to be delivered the news that he's out for the rest of the game. Mitch Duncan running out onto the field now for the Cats. Their sub has been activated.
Okay, I wonder if they can change their mind.
A bit stiff, isn't it?
It is a little.
Not only kick a goal and run off like they do at this level, kick a goal and get subbed. Haven't seen that one before, but
a bit brutal.
Yes. Now Mitch Turner is telling us back in our Perth ABC Sport base that Dan Houston was the one who lined up Isaac Rankin with the bump. So keep an eye on the replay there, because indications are he might be getting a little holiday.
There's at least 4+ weeks I'm seeing on the socials.
Yep. Scores are level at 64 apiece. Dangerfield gets the clearance. Hand pass to Holmes to Geelong up towards half forward. Stengel couldn't hold front spot. And Wanganeen Millera takes the intercepting mark for St Kilda. Left half back. The Saints with 6 goals to 1 in this third quarter. After Geelong kicked the first 5 goals of the match, St Kilda didn't kick a goal until the 6-minute mark of the second quarter. The Cats by 33 points at half time. The Saints have got it out to left half forward where Caminiti hand passes to Higgins into the pocket, looking for Mitch Owens, can't claim it on the second bite. Zach Guthrie desperately defending. Butler had a fresh air, he just got off the bottom of his boot, and Stanley's able to clear, bangs it up towards half back. Kolajazzi can't take the mark. Membry came charging in, he was blocked out of it in the marking contest. And Tim Membry at left half forward for St Kilda.
This is where he had the ball before. There's the money kick where he hit Wilson. Lace out.
So this time he goes with a bomb inside 50, and it's Dempsey at the very front in his bright pink boots for Geelong that intercepts the footy and holds on to the mark for Geelong in defence. It's got Stewart running nearby. Instead, he'll kick out to the city wing of Dockland Stadium. Roof closed tonight. Running after it is Oshin Mullen, who can take the footy, gets the free kick as well, but hurries the hand pass away to Holmes, who hand passes to Dangerfield right in the centre of the ground. goes for a run and then puts it on his boot deep inside 50, goes through the fingertips of Ollie Henry, and Dougal Howard's there to collect and hand pass it away to Steele for St Kilda as they try and get it away from their defensive 50. It finds Membry and he holds on to the mark as he switches it right into the centre of the ground. Stock is there. He runs onto it. Clean pickup. He can put it inside 50. No mark can be taken by Owens. He can keep running after it. He might have got a foot on that and sent it straight through the goals. So crafty from Owens to go after it and just fling his boot at it. And it was a 2-on-1. Owens was by himself, the only Saint there. And it's just St Kilda's quarter. The Saints go back ahead by a goal. St Kilda 10-10-70, Geelong 10-4-64. 28 minutes played. How about that half and Boomer?
That's I'm just waiting for confirmation.
Yeah, I'm with
Stuart,
you.
I'm not putting it in my book yet. Don't want to make it messy. Stuart seems to think that he's touched it or something.
Having said that, he always does that, Stuart.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
And if we go on the old player reaction like we did in Wilson, Owens was 2 hands in the air.
Yeah, he thinks he's kicked it.
That's true. And we're getting back to the centre. There's sort of seemingly a bit of a holding pattern at the moment for the game. The umpire's not too keen to...
So look at the left arm from Tom Stewart, whether he tapped it.
Oh, close one.
Owens got it after that. Or
Yeah, I'm with you. I reckon he's got hands figures to it, but as he's got it, Mitch Owens come in at the right time and kicked it through. I reckon it's a goal.
We're getting a picture of Ross Lyon. He's not giving anything away.
He's touched there.
Touch there, and then the boot comes through after the touch, I reckon.
So Stewart definitely touches the ball. It's just whether Mitch Owens then boots it after that. Is Stewart's hand still on the ball as Owens gets a boot to it?
It's a goal, mate.
It's a goal. We're bouncing the ball.
Chris Scott is not disguising his frustration as well as he's holding the phone, and he's seen a 33-point lead evaporate in this third quarter. 7-1. This is a different looking St Kilda side. This is a 2023 St Kilda side. As Rowan Marshall gets a free kick in the middle of the ground, a chance to go forward once more. Inside 50, outnumbered Mitch Owens. It's spoiled away from him. Into the pocket, Caminiti gathers. Hand pass, Miss Wilson. Bose can't pick it up cleanly. Wilson has another go. Hand pass to Butler, trying to spin out of traffic. Little topo from Owens towards the boundary line. It goes out of play up against the right behind post. At the Adelaide Oval, the Power lead by a point. 6-10-46 to Adelaide 6-9-45. Isaac Rankin taken from the field in the third quarter, taken off by a stretcher. We'll bring you the latest at three-quarter time there, but such massive ramifications for both Port Adelaide and Geelong tonight.
Ball tossed in deep inside St Kilda's 50. Comes out to Humphreys though. He's tackled by 2 Saints. As the ball spills out, the umpire crosses his arms and we'll have a ball up 40 metres out from St Kilda's goal.
Some really big numbers for the Saints. I'm sure we'll go through them at three-quarter time, but 107 to 65 disposals.
So ball tossed up. Manor tries to gather it, can't take it cleanly. It was held illegally and he'll get the free kick as well. So Manor will be given the footy in defence and he'll try and chip it towards Stewart, who takes the mark in some space and just takes the ball all the way out of defensive 50, trying to move the ball quickly. Finds Kolajasny on the outer wing as the siren sounds for an impressive quarter from St Kilda. They look spent after that one. Plenty on their haunches, but it was worth it. St Kilda, after a 7-1 third term, are up by 6 points at the final break. It's St Kilda 10-10-70, leading Geelong 10-4-64 as they look to spoil Geelong's hopes of finishing in the top 2 and securing a home final. So far, the goal kickers for tonight for St Kilda, it's a couple to Darcy Wilson and then singles to Sharman, Wood, Membry, Marshall, Owens, Steele and Higgins. Whereas for Geelong, it's a couple to Sean Manor and then individuals to Cameron, Nevitt, Stengel, Rowan, Dempsey, Neil, Dangerfield and Ollie Henry. But at the moment, St Kilda leading by 6 points after trailing by 33 at half-time.
Incredible. And I think the Saints kicked 6 unanswered goals to start the third quarter, having 3 goals at half-time, in which they kicked 4 of them in the opening 7 minutes of the third quarter. Cats are playing for their double chance, trying to lock it in tonight. Port Adelaide likewise. There's still a couple of minutes to go till three-quarter time at the Adelaide Oval. The Power lead by 3 points, 6-12-48 to Adelaide at 6-9-45. Don't adjust your dial. Keep listening to us via the ABC Listen app. We'll keep you across both games. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Here's my top footy tip for the season. You can get your games live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app. I know, right? AFL, NRL, men's, women's. Whatever footy you're after, we've got you covered. Every goal, try, mark and tackle. Called by ABC Sport's expert commentary team. This season on the home of 100% pure footy, the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Wood goes back in to get it. Hand passes to Higgins, who hand passes away to Wilson. Just snaps it on his boot quickly. And it's the Saints this time that have the first of the quarter.
Stocker has it spoiled away from him by Stewart, but Wood gathers. Hand pass into the middle of the ground for Sinclair. Great vision. Chips it to Rowan Marshall. From directly in front, can this be a winning move as he comes in from 40 metres out? The St Kilda ruckman goes bang, straight over the goal umpire's hat, and the Saints have the opening 2 goals inside 3 minutes of the third quarter.
Stewart has a go, he can't get it. It's the Saints that'll go again. They'll go here. Wilson just kicks it from outside 50, and he's got it. Wilson with another, and the Saints are coming at Docklands.
And spots something lights in the middle of the ground. Wood takes the mark. They're all on their own. Tim Membry marks in the left forward pocket. Just one behind for Tim Membry after 3 last week. He comes in to continue the St Kilda surge and scores a level. 5 unanswered goals to start this third quarter. Caminiti sets himself. Jack Henry in front. Play on the call. Caminiti stops, swings on his right, kicks up the outside of the boot. He's got Higgins on the goal line. And he takes the mark.
Wow.
After giving up the opening 5 goals of the match, St Kilda hit the lead.
Atkins can hand pass it away to Dempsey, who hand passes it away to Stengel, who curves it towards goal. The mark will be taken by Gary Rowan right at the top of the goal square. To try and stem this flow of goals from St Kilda, he eases it through and he kicks Geelong's first of the quarter. No mark can be taken by Owens. He can keep running after it. He might have got a foot on that and sent it straight through the goals. So crafty from Owens to go after it.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
What a big final quarter we've got still to come for Saturday night footy from Docklands. St Kilda lead by 6 points, 10-10-70 to Geelong 10-4-64. Matt Glitch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Jess Webb sit down on the boundary. Brent Harvey and Daniel Harford are your experts on ABC Sport. Geelong booted the opening 5 goals of the match. They led by 33 points at halftime. It took to the 6-minute mark of the second quarter for St Kilda to kick their first goal. They had 3 goals to half-time, and then they kicked 6 unanswered goals in the third quarter for a 7-goal 4-1 quarter for the Saints. They have completely transformed this game and their best performance in a quarter for the season. So St Kilda lead by 6 points at three-quarter time. Well, it's almost three-quarter time at the Adelaide Oval. The Power leading by 2 points, 6-12-48 to Adelaide 6-10-46. But the big talking point tomorrow is going to be this bump from Dan Houston on Isaac Rankin. Here's how it was called by our ABC Sport team in Adelaide.
Big double fist from King. Bang! Rankin's collected with a huge hip and shoulder, and he's down and out, and it is on.
This will explode.
That was a huge hit, and it has erupted at the Adelaide Oval.
So Aaron Bryan's behind the mic calling there, alongside Rod Jamieson, who said in his eyes he thinks it's 6 to 8 weeks after you've just seen the videos that Dan Houston leaves the ground, puts the bump on Isaac Rankin, taken off on a stretcher, be it with the encouragement from the medical staff. So it's already been a heated showdown. We know there are already fiery encounters, but Isaac Rankin being stretchered from the ground, Josh Rochelle in a goal celebration pointed to his teeth to the Port Adelaide fans. So it's fair to say it's been a heightened emotional clash, and as the two sides are separating at three-quarter time, they're trying to get into Dan Houston, the Adelaide players.
I think you're starting at 4 before you even think about it for Houston.
4? Did you say 4?
Chose to bump, hit him in the head, concussed him, so it'll be severe, it'll be intentional, severe, or careless high severe. That gets you straight to the tribunal, depending how bad the situation is. There's a little benefit in the fact that he wasn't knocked out cold and then taken on the stretcher. He jumped up himself onto the stretcher and got taken off, but chose to bump, hit him in the head, concussion, he'll be out of the game. So the AFL do not want to see that. That is exactly what they don't want to see. Didn't need to do it, had other options, could have tackled him, could have done anything else rather than charge at him and hit him in the head.
So nearly season done, really.
Well, I don't think he'll play another game this year. There you go.
It's one game to go. If he gets 4, you got 3 finals.
It could be his last game for Port Adelaide, the way things are rolling.
Oh, it's a big kill half.
What a way to go out, eh?
All right, St Kilda lead by 6 points here. What's going to happen here?
Well, who knows what's going to happen. If St Kilda can keep this form up, they'll win by 30 points. They'll win by 5 goals because that was a sensational third quarter. I'd love to see him come out and do exactly the same. Do not go into your shell, St Kilda. Play like you did in the third quarter.
There was 107 disposals to 67 St Kilda's way. Into the final term we go. Top 4 chances on the line for the Cats here as Stewart gets the first clearance. Rather fortunately kicks up to Manor. He didn't get full purchase onto it. Manor plays on around Sinclair. Drives it inside 50 towards Cameron. Can't take the mark. Battle makes the spoil. Wilkie kicks end over end. Good clean pick up by Stocker. Hand pass to Webster too slick. Mullen tries to get a toe poke onto it. Knocks it into the path of Myers. Slick hand pass to Stengel, who dribbles through the opening goal. His second. And the perfect start for the Cats to start the final term. Scores a level inside a minute. And Tyson Stengel with his second.
Well, it's a perfect start for Geelong again. This is the third time they've kicked a goal within the minute of a quarter. Take out the third quarter and they've kicked one in every single quarter at the 1 minute mark or before the 1 minute mark. But that's just another centre clearance. Nothing special about it. Just some nice hands off the deck. And Stengel, he just pops up, doesn't he? He's like a little sprinkler. Just pops up here, pops up there. And right place at the right time. And beautiful little finish.
Brilliant from you. It's your finest radio moment ever. Well done. Well, just watching that entry inside 50, that long kick from Manor inside 50, I just saw that Stengel had really paid attention to Cal Wilkie and tried to lock him up so he couldn't get to the ball. That's what I'd be doing if I'm Chris Scott. You've got to take Cal Wilkie out of any long aerial contest in this last quarter if you're going to win if you're the Cats.
So scores level as Stewart picks it out from the middle and puts the ball back inside 50 for Geelong. Mark taken by Neil.
Just a subtle little block on it by Subtle.
He did it again.
Stengel.
Yeah, spot on. He's just making sure that Wilkie can't get released and jump up at the footy because he's so damaging. He's had how many intercepts? 6 intercept marks tonight from the Cats forward 50, so the Saints defensive 50. He's done that 6 times, and there's just been a tweak to the forward setup of the Cats to take him out of that area. As a result, you get looks like this for Neil.
So Shannon Neal, 45 metres out, kicks towards goals, and it's just missed the right-hand side. So just a behind for Shannon Neal. It means the Cats are back ahead by a point.
We've seen teams do it to Tom Stewart.
Oh, Sinclair brought the Saints back into play to Howard, who went to give it back to Sinclair. Wasn't expecting it. Had to gather it in the left back pocket to Wilkie, who bangs it up the wing. Wood had it spoiled away by College Asney. Holmes runs onto it. Hand pass into the middle of the ground for Atkins. Chips it out in front of Dangerfield. The Geelong captain Marks. He's inside the centre square. Looks up, Stanley's gone forward, sends it more central than that, looking for Cameron and Neil. Neil was shoved out of it, Stengel front and centre, squeezed the kick towards the teeth of goal, bounces offline, and Zach Jones takes it across the boundary line. So Jess Webster on the boundary. We saw Mitch Duncan subbed into the game late in that third quarter. Any movement on the St Kilda bench?
No movement on the Saints bench. Hugo Garcia remaining in the back row of the bench, so we'll see when Ross pulls the trigger on their sub.
Thanks, Jess, as the ball's thrown back in. Mullen goes after it, tackled by Brad Hill. This means we'll get a ball up 15 metres out from Geelong's goal. Ahead by just 1 point. Ball bounces after the umpire throws it up. No one really knows what to do. They're unsure. Sinclair finally plays on and just clears the kick out. It'll be coming back into Geelong's attacking 50, though, by Blitzarves, who takes the mark. So players are jostling at the top of the goal square. Close is there, so is Neil. Blitzarves will pop it to the top of the square. Players go up for Geelong, but in the end it's Wood who can clear it via steal. Then back to Clark, who goes backwards dangerously to Wood, who hand passes it to Webster. Taken in a tackle. It's all these hand passes for St Kilda. And finally they get it out with Wilson with the footy. Hand passes to Wanganeen Miller, who puts his skates on. And then he uses his hands to go out to Hill, who's wide. And then he kicks inside the centre of the ground to Clark.
He had to go then. He had a couple. He could have just lowered his eyes. He hit the 45.
Clark started one way then the other way and then instead found Steele sitting at centre half forward. Jack Steele will hold on to the footy.
He can take his time from here. Now something will open up late.
Marshall's a good chance here.
Marshall, he spotted him late, kicks towards him, can't take the mark, spills out the way of Myers. Can Geelong go through the middle of the ground? Kicks to Cameron, who takes the mark. Players streaming past him, kicks out in front of Stengel. Coming the other way was Wilkie. They crash. The ball spills out to left half back. Hill's first onto it. Both players okay, although Howard's shoulder might be worse for wear. Kicks in the middle of the ground. Sinclair dropped the mark. Neil can't race after it. It's cleaned up in the end by Steele. Hand pass to Clark. Risky kick for Jones. He takes the mark. Fends off Dempsey. Every kick's a 50-50 ball. Into the right forward pocket. Caminiti races after it. Jack Henry as well. It goes out of play and everyone can take a breath.
They made that a little bit harder than what they needed to, the Saints. Gee whiz. Take your time. Composure on the football is huge right now in this quarter.
So somehow they've made it into their forward 50. So the umpire tosses it in. Caminiti taps it away. Humphries will meet it just before the boundary line, but he's met by Higgins, who tackles him over the boundary for a throw-in. Just at that junction of 50 and the boundary line.
Geelong by a point, Loz, and Port Adelaide by 2 points as the final quarter gets underway from the Adelaide Oval, so we'll keep our eyes left, right and centre.
So such a tight game, probably not what we expected here at half-time when Geelong were ahead by 33 points. Now the Cats ahead by just one. Just from the throw-in, it's Bowes that collects and hand passes it to Dempsey. The Cats trying to move it along the outer wing. Dempsey will kick to half-forward for Geelong. Battle just stepping back there, easily takes the intercept mark for St Kilda. And he'll have the footy about 35 metres out from defensive goal for St Kilda.
Willie Rioli's kicked the first goal for Port Adelaide of the final term, so a 8-point lead there. Geelong leading by a point here as Zach Jones has it at right half back. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Jess Webster down on the boundary. Daniel Harford and Brent Harvey, your team for Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Up towards Caminiti and Marshall. Caminiti can't take the mark. Holmes trying to rip it away from Dempsey, who's over the footy. Eventually it does come out. A chance for Wilson. His kick is partially smothered close to the boundary line. And Blitzavs in the end takes it across.
Just looking at the play-on percentage in that third quarter. 36% for the Saints. 33 for the Cats. It was a real slingshot game in that third quarter. It seemed to really suit the way St Kilda wanted to play.
Thrown back in, Marshall and Blitzavs. It spills down the way of Bowes. His kick didn't get a lot of purchase on it. Dempsey can't take it. Ollie Henry's hand pass to Blitzavs under pressure. Tackled by Burns. Umpire calls play on. Marshall's hand pass just cleared Sinclair. Good tackle on Stewart though. Bowes just fires a hand pass forward to Ollie Henry. His hand pass pinched by Zach Jones. He tucks the footy under the arm. Tries to get past Stewart. Gets a hand pass to Sinclair. It may still work. Up to Darcy Wilson at right half forward. Kicks to Wood.
What a kick.
Directly in front. He thought about Jack Higgins in the pocket. He has Brad Hill. He kicks laterally to him. He's no closer to goal. 45 metres out to the left.
He really wanted to get that one off Mason Wood, didn't he? He's
why?
45 out and he's playing forward. He's actually a very nice set shot for goal, so not sure why he wanted to get that one off.
Wood had kicked a goal tonight. Brad Hill's kicked 6-5 for the season. Just the 8 disposals.
Yeah. Hasn't much influence at all, Brad Hill.
Mullen been right over. He's going everywhere with him on and off the field as well, which we don't see very often anymore.
Looking for all his experience, the 3-time premiership Hawk. Brad Hill comes in from inside 50, right to left. He gets it there. Pumps his chest out and puts St Kilda back to the lead by 5 points. 11-10-76 to Geelong, 11-5-71. Every bit the man of the moment. And the Saints put their noses back in front at the 8-minute mark of the final term.
Gee, I love the pass from Darcy Wilson. He's impressed me tonight. He's played the half-forward role, pushed up to the contest and got ripped back towards goal faster than his opponent. But that was just a beauty, an absolute beauty. Crossed his body to the centre corridor to get it to Mason Wood. Long bit with you, Boom. I don't know why he wouldn't have had a shot himself there, but it gets Brad Hill into the game. Hasn't had a quiet game, as you said. Hill sitting on him all evening long. So maybe that's the point.
Really good play by Zach Jones out in the wing too, where he pocketed the Geelong handball and took the game on with his power. He's been pretty good tonight.
Back in the middle, Stanley and Marshall. He can pick it up and hurry a kick. Back into the forward 50 for St Kilda. Membry runs onto it, swivels around and puts it on his boot. into the right forward pocket. Sharman can't mark. And most players seem happy to just watch that bounce over the boundary line for a throw in about 35 metres around from St Kilda's goal. So you can see how exhausted players are, even though it's the start of the fourth quarter. As they just get their breath a little bit at stoppages. Ball tossed in. Blitzarves taps it almost out of defensive 50. Dempsey picks it up. Hand passes Holmes, who was taken high. And he'll get the free kick and have the ball coming back to him just at the top of the 50. Left half back for Geelong. Max Holmes will have the ball delivered back to him.
Just getting a few funky things on our champion data screen. Jess, Patrick Dangerfield's on the bench, isn't he?
He is, yes, sitting in the front row.
So it's laying on our screen. He's off, and Mitch Duncan is taking a couple of bounces inside the defensive 50. Out to Nevitt on the Docks wing. Can't take the mark. Stanley slaps it forward to Kolajasny. Bounces into Burns. Slaps it forward. It goes out of play. Umpire said that came off a boot. I thought he whacked it. The umpire and the field umpire, boundary umpire and field umpire will come together. Jess Webster.
And just also keeping my eye on Brad Hill on the Saints bench. So he's had physios work on his back sort of on and off throughout the game. Hugo Garcia's just had the GPS tracker being put in his back of his Guernsey. So I think they might activate their sub shortly, but I'll keep you posted.
Did it come off the boot at Burns?
I don't know. They're asking the other boundary umpire, but it was in the goal square at the other end.
Yeah, it came off the boot. Replay shows it clearly.
Not sure how the other boundary umpire could have any input at all.
Jess?
And I think Brad Hill's just been subbed out of the game, so Hugo Garcia's coming in.
Thanks, Jess. As Kolajasny, after all that, his kick goes straight into Membry, who smothers it. It is Holmes who can gather for Geelong. Goes inside to the top of the goal square. Great mark taken there by Wilkie. Sliding in, stood tall in defence and kicked out to Jones, who's under a little bit of pressure from Dempsey. His kick goes out. It might be stopped by Blitzarves. It's plenty of players around the footy at the top of the 50 for Geelong. Dempsey just kicks it away to Stengel, who hurries it onto his boot. It's a snap. It goes high, and it's marked. It's marked by Stanley. Stengel with a hope in his kick. A high ball, hoping for a mark, and Stanley was on the end of it. So he kicks from a slight angle, about 15 metres out from goal.
In the end, a relatively disappointing defensive performance there from the Saints. That's got to be killed, that ball.
Stanley, the former Saint, to put Geelong back in front. Eases it through. And the lead swings back the way of the Cats. Geelong ahead by just 1 point. 12-5-77, leading St Kilda 11-10-76. 12 minutes played in the final term. It's Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Daniel Harford and Brent Harvey.
They just need a little bit more composure, the Saints now. Just a couple of hat kicks come out the defensive 50 for them. They've had composure in the third quarter. They know what they're doing. Get the ball to some advantage. Get it to space. They've got some speed on them, the Saints, and things might be okay. But they can't just, like you said, that defensive effort wasn't fantastic, was it?
Brad Hill stopped up kicking a goal too, Boom. That's two tonight.
It is two,
Although I did see him running very straight-legged for a fluid mover. He's very straight-legged to the bench, so we'll keep an eye on him, I reckon, Jess, down there. He might have a problem.
So Gary Rowan was subbed out in the third quarter after kicking a goal. Geelong back in front by a point. And Reece Stanley becomes the 9th individual goal kicker for Geelong. Blitzavs trying to break away. Tackle, got a problem. No, umpire says he'll pull it up.
I think your problem's got a collarbone Caminiti problem, I reckon. He's got that left shoulder heavily taped.
Yep.
He's cradling that, grabbing his left wrist. He knows he's done something.
They've just subbed off Brad Hill as well.
Yeah, that paperwork has been submitted. As Blitzhouse tries to take it to the ruck. Stocker and Steele lay the tackle. Jess Webster.
So I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the rule is that you can actually reverse the sub if the original sub has not entered the field of play. So Hugo Garcia is still sitting in the front row of the bench. So I think St Kilda can actually change their mind. So I'll keep an eye on it.
All right, keep an eye, Jess. We'll keep an eye on that. Bowes inside 50, in from the side. Neal can't take the mark. Stengel tries to get a hand pass back, but it's battle who clears to St Kilda. Hand pass to Darcy Wilson. 2 goals in the third quarter. To Marshall, has to break the Holmes tackle. Back to Wilson. He's kick around his body. Stewart can't take the mark. He slides in. Did Owens get him high? He did. Stewart throws his head back, and the umpire maybe reacted to that.
Did he or not? I reckon there was a good chance it didn't touch his bonds. I'm still not convinced it touched him.
Yeah, maybe not his head, maybe his shoulder.
Bounce straight back up, Stewart, to take his kick. He'll put it into the forward pocket for Geelong. Nevitt couldn't hold on to the mark. Wilkie desperately trying to gather. He can't. Scooped out to Manor. He's taken in a tackle by Owen straight away. And he'll be pinned for it. Free kick going the way of the Saints.
Suggests Tom Stewart's coming off in front of you. I'm sure the doctor's going to have a look at him.
Yeah, doctors are with him right now, and it's all happening down here on a frantic bench. But Tom Stewart's been looked after by the doctors. Hugo Garcia's just run out onto the fit. Oh no, he was called back to have a quick chat on the phone. Caminiti's still in the hands of the physios on the Saints bench.
So a fair bit happening down there. Thanks, Jess. As the kick comes all the way down to half forward for the Saints. Wilson not able to control, and the ball will spill out over the boundary line for a throw in. Centre half forward for St Kilda.
Watching Tom Stewart down there, he's talking to the umpires, pointing to his shoulder. So I reckon that's where he's been contacted. Throwing the head back, got the free kick, worked all right for the Cats, but I'm not sure we want players doing that with the current climate, enhancing the contact.
Saints trailing by 1 point as the ball's tossed back in. Battle tries to kick it back to where it came. It's still running after it. He can gather and collect cleanly, and he'll pop it to the top of the 50 for St Kilda. Membry running onto it. Clever hand pass away to Garcia. Back to Dow, who sends it back to Garcia by hands. Turns it around. Beautiful kick. He was being tackled and could still hit Higgins on the chest.
Come on and make an impact, boom.
Wow. Leg speed, beautiful kick. Higgins didn't have to break stride.
It was a great route from Higgins. He knew what was happening. He started on the other side of the goals and saw the ball feeding back to the left footer. And as soon as he saw that, he darted back to the open side, knowing the left footer was going to hit him up. Brilliant forward craft, but a finish and a half for the guys. Just come on, Garcia.
Every teammate in the forward line too went to pat Garcia on the head. As Higgins comes in, lines up. He might curl this back, not quite. He draws the scores level.
Handy point, as they say.
Be handy a goal.
So nothing in this game. 16 minutes played in this fourth term, and scores are level.
Had 4 lead changes throughout the match. The last 3 scores of this match have swung the scoreline and the lead as the kick out towards Cameron from Mitch Duncan. Off hands, it goes out of play. At the Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide have taken control there. 11 minutes gone, final term. They lead by 20 points, 9-12-66 to Adelaide 6-10-46. Toss back in front of the St Kilda bench. Stanley and Marshall. Spills out the way of Burns. Left it for Clark to gather. Onto his right-hand side. High kick inside 50. Clears Membry. Sharman flies. First back onto it. He gathers. Steadies. Can he finish? He can! Cooper Sharman with his second. And St Kilda are back in front. A 6-point lead. At the 17-minute mark of the final term. 12-11-83 to Geelong 12-5-77. The Cats can secure a top 4 finish with victory tonight, but St Kilda, this second half turnaround continues. Jess Webster on the boundary.
Anthony Caminiti looks right to take his place back out onto the field, and confirmation from the Saints that it's a back injury to Brad Hill, who was subbed out. And looking on the Geelong bench, Tom Stewart looks okay. He's just sitting in the front row of the bench but not receiving any attention.
Oh, nice goal from Clarence Hunter-Clark. Really important ball there where he was super clean at the back of the stoppage. Got it in. Sharman had a great contest. More importantly, kept his feet half, which is huge in today's game.
So it's now the Saints holding the lead as Marshall again picks it out from the ruck contest, shoves it on his boot, was looking for Butler. He couldn't collect. Clark has a go, gets tackled by Duncan but can still get a kick away. Inside 50 for St Kilda. Players converge around the footy. Jack Henry takes it, hand passes it to Bose, who just sends a ball as long as he can. Neil gets a fingertip on it. Wanganeen Miller at the back can take it. Hand pass it to Sinclair, and he'll kick it forward towards Marshall. Couldn't gather the footy in a 2-on-1, and it's a Stocker that can get it. Kicks it across to Dow. He'll go inside 50 for the Saints here again. Packs go up, players flying from everywhere. Higgins at the back. He might be able to snap a goal, and he does.
Wow.
Higgins with his second, snapping the footy through the middle for a goal for St Kilda. It gives them a lead by 12 points. It's a huge turnaround from half-time. It's hard to believe the St Kilda we saw in the first half has put on this show in the second half. But they now lead by 12 points. 18 minutes played at St Kilda, 13-11-89, leading Geelong 12-5-77.
There's no better feeling as a small forward when your man goes and flies.
Yeah.
Now that's a pack of 5. Nobody's probably going to mark that ball. Higgins keeps his feet, stays on the ground, front and centre. Beautiful forward craft. You mentioned forward craft before. His leading patterns, that's forward craft right there. Let your man fly, stay on the ground. Hopefully the ball spills for his third. I think it was for his third.
So they've kicked 10 of the last 13 goals of the match, and they have their biggest lead of the match, 12 points. Back in the middle of the ground, Sinclair tries to get the clearance. He's tackled by Stanley and Dangerfield, and the umpire will ball it up.
Garcia, a couple of really handy touches too, just using his leg speed.
Thrown up, Stanley wins down the tap, spills out, Atkins can't take it. Putting his head over the footy, trying to break out was Jack Steele, and the St Kilda captain is locked up.
21-9 ground ball gets this quarter. I mean, they're just hungrier and more desperate at the moment. The Saints, they've been very impressive in the second half.
One-on-ones across the field as Stanley tries to get a clearing. Half-pass, it's taken though by Wilson as St Kilda up towards half-forward. Owens makes the spoil of Jack Henry. Sharman slips over. Henry's able to gather. Hand-pass to Zach Guthrie. Shanks the kick up towards half-back, and Mitch Duncan fronts on contact if he didn't hold it long enough by Wilson. Free kick Geelong's way at right half-back. The Saints by 12 points. Top 4 spot on the lines. Geelong looking to secure it tonight if they can claim victory.
Duncan, the sub, flares it out across to Kolajasny. He's standing on the outer side of the ground, and he'll just bomb it long as well. Get it to half forward for the Cats. Close went up, couldn't take the mark, falls back down. The Saints will try and bring this to their advantage. Wanganeen Miller are running onto it. In the end, it's Garcia at the back. He stood at the back, and that was the perfect decision to make. He can hurry the kick forward to half forward. Jack Henry picks it up. He's tackled by Mitch Owens. It's Sharman who kicks it inside 50. Butler's got the footy. He's right near the goal square. He'll snap it this time. And he gets the goal. And the Saints fans stand up and rejoice. It's 3 in a row in this final term to St Kilda. And that margin back out to 18 points in favour of the Saints. St Kilda 14-11, 95. Geelong 12-5, 77. Trying to ruin Geelong's chances of getting a home final in the first week of September.
The Grinch is alive, Loz. Ross Lyon, the Grinch is alive.
They've kicked 14 goals half.
Yeah, correct.
Three in the first half.
And they've gone bananas
11.
in this second half, and it's been through the back of work rate, intensity, teamwork clearly, and real quality thinking under pressure. Real good balance and clarity of mind, Boomer. You talked about that before with composure. Gee, they've shown some great composure in all of this.
11 goals to 3 after half-time.
Yep.
It's like they've changed jumpers. And if Ross Lyon can get St Kilda to play like this for 4 quarters, they would be a top 8 side.
But this is the thing, we touched on this pre-game, that they wait till the game's over. And normally it's not half-time. Normally it's midway through the last quarter, but this is much more dynamic. Tough to stop.
Expect the unexpected in 2024, that's for sure. Still with 2 rounds to go. Stewart gets a click for the Cats. Up towards half-forward. Saints knock it on. Butler beautifully to Hunter Clark inside 50 with the Harlem Globetrotters. As leading out the mark is taken by Mitch Owens. Everything is clicking for St Kilda.
What about the tap from Butler? Keep the ball alive.
Brilliant. Just team play, clarity of mind. It's a really simple concept in the frenetic world of last quarter footy when the seasons are on the line, top 4 positions, scoreboards against you, or you're just having the favour, you can lose it. But St Kilda have kept their heads here brilliantly.
This is for 4 goals in 5 minutes. Mitch Owens comes in, out to the right, arms outstretched. It's a good time to be a Sainter. It's a 24-point lead. The last 4 goals of the match. 5 goals to 2 in the final term and 12 goals to 3 since half-time. And St Kilda are delivering a blow to Geelong's top 4 hopes tonight. 15-11, 101 as they pass the 100 marker. 12-5, 77 Geelong. Meanwhile, the Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide by 14 points. 9-12, 66 to Adelaide, 7-10, 52.
4 goals in 6 minutes again. They did that at the start of the third quarter where they had 4 in 7 minutes. It's been an absolute onslaught. What they're doing, they're just keeping the ball alive. Like just a little tap by Butler. They're running forward hard. Kicks become a little bit easier inside 50 when you're going in there and the ball's been alive. So well done, Saints, in the second half.
So free kick found out of the ruck contest in the middle. It goes to Paddy Dangerfield. Right smack bang in the centre of Docklands. He wastes no time in kicking it into attacking 50.
He's been good.
There he is. He has Boomer. Wilkie just stands back there and takes the mark like he has been doing all night.
That's his 8th intercept mark for the night.
He's patrolled that defensive 50. He chips it to Battle, and Wilkie will get it back here. As the ball comes back to him in the left back pocket, has to get the kick away. He was under a bit of pressure from Ollie Henry. Nevitt picks up the footy for Geelong and just skews it straight out of bounds on the full. So it'll be Wanganeen Miller up, the recipient of the free kick here after Nevitt. Nevitt hurried that kick. The Saints now ahead by 4 goals. It's 25 minutes gone in the 4th term.
Wilkie, 28 touches, 15 marks.
He might feature in your votes, I reckon.
He could.
That's a good hand pass. Wanganeen Miller at a half-back. Membry takes the mark in front of Jess Webster.
I've never seen a physio sprint out to the pocket at the other end of the field as I have at the Saints physio, who's running some pickle juice out to Cal Wilkie in the back pocket. He absolutely raced down to him.
Thanks, Jess. Up to Rowan Marshall, who takes a good, strong mark in front of Reece Stanley. Of course, these two sides faced in round 23 last year. St Kilda prevailed. It allowed them to knock Geelong out of finals calculation, given they were the reigning premiers. Chris Scott said he can't remember back that far when he was speaking about it during the week. I guarantee you the St Kilda players do. As Sinclair at left half forward into the pocket. It won't quite get to Cooper Sharman. He spoils it away though from Cameron. Back onto it. Hand pass to Dangerfield. Tackled by Jones. Spills out to Steele. Hard against the boundary. Hand pass to Sharman. Jags it onto the boot. High kick inside 50. Who'll have a fly? Woods in there. Can't take the mark. First onto it. Stripped by the tackle of Kolajasny. Holding the footy. Geelong take it back.
Kolajasny with it, quickly hand passes to Stewart. He'll flare it to the outer side of the ground. It's Dempsey, we've got a tap to it, and then Holmes grabs it. Takes 2 bounces, he might be able to take a third. He does. Garcia's got him. He tackles him.
Brilliant.
He took one too many, and the young player and Hugo Garcia does another good thing tonight.
Nobody was going to catch him other than the sub.
Yeah,
Sub's got fresh legs and he's pretty quick anyway. It's a great chase. Chase with intent.
Hugo Garcia running down Holmes. As the Saints defenders just slow moving the footy out of defence. Wanganeen Miller and Wood share it with each other a couple of times.
Just under 4 minutes to go. They'll certainly take the heat out of this game now and just be uncontested mark after uncontested mark.
That's what they've done in the second half, Boom. It's why they are where they are. They've been able to control possession. 50-metre penalty.
Chip mark's made its way to Stocker, and then an encroachment on the mark means Stocker will be marched basically to the top of the 50 for St Kilda.
66 uncontested marks to 24 in the second half.
Wow.
That's actually embarrassing for Geelong.
Stocker easily finds Jack Steele going for a lead in all sorts of space.
Like that 67.
They get that little 15-metre chip kick inside. And Jack Steele, after kicking the first goal of the night for St Kilda, which came at the 6-minute mark of the second term, has a chance to kick the sealer. Swirls the ball around in his hands. Wilson Humphries jumping up and down on the mark. 45 metres out. Steele lets it loose towards goals. And there it is.
Goal.
St Kilda with their backs up against the wall. Come to Docklands. A higher-ranked opponent, an opponent with plenty on the line in Geelong. And now it's St Kilda with a 5-goal lead. Not a long time left in this match. St Kilda 16-11, 107. We don't see that scoreline very often from the Saints. To Geelong 12-5, 77. 28 minutes played in the 4th term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Chris Scott in the box on the screen. We can see him. He's resigned to the fact this one's Kurt. It's over. It is over.
Huge ramifications on the top 8 now, and in particular top 4 for Geelong.
No doubt. It puts them under enormous pressure. They'll keep 4th spot. But if the Bulldogs win tomorrow, the Cats lose next week, the Bulldogs win next week, the Bulldogs can get through. The Hawks will be chasing that spot too now. Richmond and North in the last couple of weeks.
The last 5 goals of the match St Kilda's way as Stocker gets the clearance. It's a 63-point turnaround since half-time. Kicks inside the 50. Humphries is able to lock up Mitch Owens with support from Zach Guthrie. It's 40 metres out from St Kilda's goal. Time is starting to run out. Blitzhouse wins down the tap. Humphreys under pressure. Little toe poke to Dempsey. Hand pass out in front of Blitzhouse. He's tackled in the end. Geelong still trying through Atkins. Hand pass to Zach Guthrie. To Bowes at halfback. Kicks out to the dock swing. Stanley takes the mark. Swings onto his right. Kicks inside 50. Cameron 2-on-2. Neil can't take the mark. Falling back. Cameron gets boot to ball and squeezes something through late. Jeremy Cameron with his second. He's been relatively quiet, it must be said, throughout this match. The superstar in which he is. He's had the 15 disposals, 2 goals straight. St Kilda's lead is 24 minutes at 24 points with 2 minutes to go and 6 seconds as we almost tick past half an hour gone in this final term. 16-11, 107 to Geelong, 13-5-83.
Goal to Cameron, but Josh has won the battle there. It's been a man-on-man contest all night long, Boom, and if you go purely on numbers, Battle's had 16 with 4 score involvements and 8 marks. Cameron has had 15 with 4 score involvements and 6 marks. If you just play that game, it's pretty even Stevens. But if you can hold a neutral position with Jeremy Cameron, you've won the battle.
Who's nearly the best forward in the game, the way he gets up and moves. Did you mean that?
Yeah, I did.
Josh Battle?
Yeah, Josh
won the battle?
Yeah.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah. I've been working on it all night. I've been waiting for that.
So the umpires... bounce in the middle will be recalled. He'll do it again. St Kilda with 13 goals to 4 in the second half. This time the ball's thrown up. Steele goes after it. Comes out to Wood. Hand passes to Wilson. He's tackled by 2 Geelong players. Dangerfield and Bowes lock him up. The umpire will ball it up. Broadcast wing side of the centre square. As Marshall picks it out of the throw up. Steele does the tackling. Manna can emerge with the footy though. Hand pass to Stanley. He misses his foot. Garcia's there for St Kilda. Shoves it on his boot. Spiralling kick to the top of the 50 for St Kilda. It'll be punched away. And Owens will chase it over the boundary line for a throw in about 55 metres out from St Kilda's goal. Leading by 24 points with not a lot of time left in this match.
So what it means is that Brisbane are still playing for the top 4 in the final round of the home and away season. Thrown back in, Stanley and Marshall. Marshall tries to throw a boot at it, can't make contact, slaps it inside 50. Higgins can't gather, it's picked up by Holmes for Geelong. Hand pass to Manna, gets the hand pass away to Close, through the middle of the ground to Bowes. Takes a bounce as he passes the centre circles. Kicks off the outside of the boot and dribbles it up to Dempsey. Back to Bowes, great fluency, inside 50. Cameron out in front, arms out in front of Josh Battle, and this time claims the mark. This is all too late. Cameron swings onto his left, casual as you like, puts through his third. And he's kicked the last 2 goals of the match to make it an 18-point margin with 1:05 to go. 16-11, 107 to Geelong, 14-5-89. And maybe percentage will become important.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's why Geelong would be keen to finish it off, clearly. But it's been he's one of their real shining lights, Bowes, tonight for the Cats. He's had 30 disposals, and he's been, I reckon, by far their best player. Manna's had a really good impact for 21 as well, kicked a couple of snags. 758 metres gained for Jack Bowes, which is by far probably 50% more than anyone else for the contest. So he's a real go-forward player. He's done a lot of good things for them tonight. But it hasn't been enough, particularly in their second half. I'm keen to talk about that after the game, but all credit to the Saints, the way this has unfolded in the second half. Their ability to reshape their game, restructure the plan, and execute's been brilliant.
Stanley brings it down to Dangerfield. Hand passes it to Bowes. Kicks inside 50 for Geelong. Wanganeen Miller steps back to take the mark. And he kicks out to Webster. So Saints still moving the ball fairly quickly after Webster kicks it to Wilson. He just intonates to Wilson to just hold things down and slow things down a little. He goes to take on Bowes on the mark. He slips over. He does the opposite of what Webster said. Webster goes after the footy and the ball spills out of the boundary line for a throw-in.
Oh, Dougal Howard's giving him a massive cook. Wilson too. Massive cook.
It's a bit harsh. He's done so much right tonight, poor Darcy Wilson.
Well, it's about managing those moments, though. We've talked about that before, about being really calm and composed and clear. And perhaps Darcy maybe just got some adrenaline through the veins there.
Well, it is Webster who gets the free back and will hold on to the footy in defence for St Kilda.
Webster kicks as far as he can up the wing. Membry in from the side, can't take the mark. gathered by Steele. Hand pass back to Wilson. What a second half he's had. Kicks a high ball towards half forward. Caught behind is Marshall. He tries to spill it down against Blitzhouse. Ball spills out. Hand pass away to Duncan. Gets the hand pass away to Zach Guthrie. Chips it up towards half forward. Unable to take the mark, Stanley. Spills out Wilson's way. A season like no other that keeps us guessing to the final round. St Kilda defeat Geelong by 18 points. And the Cats' top 4 chance they could have secured tonight goes begging. St Kilda by 18 points record their 10th win of the season.
When the Saints go marching in, oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, how I want to be with St Kilda. When the Saints go marching in.
St Kilda do play the role of Grinches. They win by 18 points, 16-11, 107 to Geelong 14, 589 in front of 31,945 fans. It's a 51-point swing.
Yeah.
After Geelong led by 33 points at halftime, they kicked the first 5 goals of the match. St Kilda didn't kick their first goal until the 6-minute mark of the second quarter. Cats led by 33 points at halftime, and then the game completely changed. The Saints booted 7-1 in the third quarter. They booted 6-4 in the final term. They kicked 13-5 after halftime. And at one stage, booted 5 goals in about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. It was incredible. St Kilda's highest score against Geelong, Mitch Turner tells us, since round 1, 2004. A day where Aussie Jones polled 3 votes and Fraser Garrick kicked 7.
Other train.
Darcy Wilson and Hugo Garcia weren't even born yet. What a win for the Saints, and what a blow it is to Geelong, who Patrick Dangerfield is keen to get his Chargers in for a quick huddle before they make their way off Docklands. This is the first time they played at Docklands in 2024. They have West Coast in the final round of the home and away season at Kardinia Park on Saturday. It's a 1:45 affair, but for Brisbane, the top 4 possibilities are still alive if West Coast can beat Geelong. It's a tall ask. Well, the Saints have the Blues, so they can continue on if they want to absolutely spoil the party once more. And Ross Lyon's side has found a little bit of form in the back end of the season. They've now won 5 of their last 6 at Docklands. The goal kickers for the Saints, 3 goals to Higgins, 3 goals to Wilson, 2 to Sharman. Individuals to Hill, Owens, Butler, Marshall, Membry and Wood. While for the Cats, 3 goals to Cameron, with 2 in the final term, 2 to Stengel, individuals to Stanley, 2 to Manor as well, individuals to Stanley, Nevitt, Rowan, Dempsey, Neal, Dangerfield and Henry. The Cats 14 wins and 8 losses. They'll stay in 4th position, but it means it goes all the way to the wire in the final round of the home and away season, with Brisbane 2 points behind them. Daniel Harford, Brent Harvey try and make sense of what was a very impressive victory by the Saints, having played a half a footy.
I'm not sure I can, to be honest. It was unbelievable. It was chalk and cheese. Let's start there, because the first half they had 3 goals on the board to kick 13 in the second half.
Didn't look like it did that half time.
No,
did not
didn't
look like it.
We sort of spoke briefly before the game half. We thought they were going to kick 6-7 goals. We looked at each other at half time and said, yeah, we're on the mark.
Yep.
3 goals at half time. 13.
7 in the third quarter.
13 in the second half. And they looked like a different team, didn't they?
Yep.
They controlled the football. They won clearances. Wilkie was superb down back. They were cleaner. They controlled the game. You spoke about it a few times, where they shifted the defence. They had the ball out on one side. They were bringing it back through the middle, get it to the other side, and made Geelong defenders actually defend.
Yep.
They were fantastic. And I don't know how to explain Geelong's game. St Kilda was so good and so dominant that Geelong couldn't do nothing. They weren't winning the clearances. The ball was going St Kilda's way, and they had to defend like crazy. So credit where credit's due. St Kilda were absolutely excellent. I mean, Hill didn't have a big game. He's one of their barometers.
No doubt.
It was well held by Mullen. So they had a lot of winners on the night. I thought Callum Wilkie's game was was outstanding. And their skipper, Jack Steele, wow.
You're spot on, Boomer. They controlled the game. They got busy at the contest. We talked about that at half-time, and that was always going to be the area they needed to sort themselves out. At half-time, they were down 10 contested possessions. They were down 6 clearances, 7 inside 50s, and 8 centre clearances. They had to sort that out. After half-time, they were plus 21 in contested possessions. They were plus 1 in clearance, but plus 2 in centre clearance. So it's a big turnaround from being minus 8 to being plus 2 in the second half. As a result, they were plus 12 inside 50s, and they did it through control. Once they'd got out of the contest, they did it through control. They were able to move the ball relatively freely. We talked about the play-on percentages from marks all night long. St Kilda went 17% first quarter, 23 second, 36 third, 25 in the last. Geelong was 23, 14, 33 in the third, trying to get rolling, and 9 in the last. They ran out of gas, couldn't move the ball. And uncontested marks, plus 45 in the second half for St Kilda.
Second half.
Uncontested possessions, plus 51. So the Cats couldn't lay a glove on them. They're the number 1 tackling team in the competition. They had 50 for the night. St Kilda had 64 and had a heap more of the ball. So they could not lay a glove on them physically from a tackling perspective, or take the game away from them by letting them stopping their uncontested mark game. So it's a real message, I reckon, for Geelong. And if you want to drink the Kool-Aid, you are going to get beaten in this competition. I reckon at halftime there was instead of the Gatorade, it was Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid,
and
right.
They all got their fill because that's the way they played in the second half. It was Kool-Aid footy, and the Saints said, we're not copying what we produced in that first half. We're going to go and do something about it, restructure our plan. And I think that's one of the performances of the year for the Saints, to be able to turn that around when they had no chance in history the way they were playing at halftime. It is brilliant.
I'll tell you what it's good for. You finish off the year well, you go into a pre-season feeling good about yourself, don't you?
Yep. They may not make the finals in 2024, but they're certainly shaping it. The Saints make their way in, winners by 18 points. Jess Webster is there.
Yes, they've really soaked up this win with their fans out on the field, and now they've made their way into the rooms. A lot of smiley faces from the friends and family here in the rooms. The players have gathered in a circle. They're going to love singing this one. Let's have a listen.
When the Saints go marching in. Oh, when the Saints go marching in, I want to be in St Kilda. Oh, when the Saints go marching in. Oh, when the Saints go marching in. Oh, when the Saints go marching in. Oh, I want to be in St Kilda. Oh, when the Saints go marching in.
An incredible victory. Saints by 18 points over Geelong. We're hoping to get some reaction shortly, guys.
Thank you, Jess. St Kilda winners by 18 points, 16-11, 107 to Geelong, 14-5, 89. Half as a coach, I'm looking forward to hearing what the St Kilda players say Ross Lyons said at halftime, because it'll either be constructive or will be very direct.
I've got a feeling it might have been direct. No doubt when Ross has given you some feedback, it's fairly direct from what we hear from the Saints people. But clearly they came up with a plan, and that's great coaching. How you get your message across is up to you, and whether or not the players respond is what sort of relationship you've got with them. Clearly Saints got a great relationship. The players of the Saints have a great relationship with Ross. There would have been a rejig in the coach's box, no doubt. We saw that. It was crystal clear from what we saw in the second half compared to the first half. And it would have been direct. And sometimes, we mollycoddle them, we make it really nice and fluffy for these players at times, but sometimes you need to rub between the eyes, Boomer.
You do.
Well, right on cue. Let's head down to Jess Webster. St Kilda winners by 18 points.
Thanks, Clincher, here with Jack Steele. Jack, what an incredible victory with your round that was to say thank you to your members as well, and you just kind of spoiled the party a little bit for Geelong, trying to get a top 4 spot. But tell me how good that victory felt.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the best we've had for the year. We haven't had too many, but that was pretty special. And Ross said a few weeks ago that he likes to be the Grinch, and it's always nice to beat a finals-like team. And it really did feel like a finals-like game with how high pressure it was, and we knew they were going to come to play. They had so much on the line, so it was nice to really go out there, and especially when things weren't going our way in the first half, probably, especially the first quarter, we were able to turn it around and really get on top in that third quarter and really put them to sore with that run. So it was very pleasing for, I suppose, in the end, a 4-quarter performance. Yeah.
Absolutely. And how important is it, these wins in the back end of the season when you won't make finals, but just to have some momentum going into pre-season for culture, for morale, for the young kids as well? How important is a victory like this against a really quality side deep into the season?
Oh, it's huge, and that's something we've been speaking about every single week. I suppose since we've been ruled out of finals is building our culture, the character of the group, building for future success, especially with a young core that we do have. We really do need to just I suppose, get things in order now and really create winning habits. So, I feel like a win like that is really going to go a long way to doing that.
And tell me about the Guernsey that you're wearing, because it is the Stickman Guernsey, which I'm led to believe is a fan favourite. So you've worn it for a couple of pre-season games. This is the first for premiership points, and this is obviously thank you members round and why you're wearing it. But what do you think of it? Do you like it?
I think it's pretty good, to be honest. I'd love to wear it a bit more going forward, especially the candy stripe strip that we wear is so clean. So it'd be nice to see a bit more of a retro round going forward, and I know the fans love it and the players love it, so I don't see why we can't do it a little bit more going forward.
I think after a win like today, the fans will demand it more often. Jack's still with us on ABC Sport. I'll send you upstairs to our experts, Daniel Harford and Brent Harvey.
Jack, Daniel Harford, mate, lose the jumper, keep the form, because it was brilliant that second half. But I do need to know, how did you rejig it at the half time? Was it fairly strong and direct feedback from the coach, and what did you have to fix?
It's a very good question. We actually didn't get a spray or anything like that. We're doing a lot right. They were just killing us at centre bounce, to be honest, and stoppage. Their scores from stoppage, I think, were 5-1 at half time compared to our just 1 point. So centre bounce, they're getting some really, really easy exits and goals. So, that was a plan of the midfields to get back on top there, and they weren't scoring from turnover, I don't think. So we just wanted to be a bit slicker with the ball, move the ball a little bit quicker, shift it, take it out of their markers' hands, and I feel like we were able to do that. We were able to really outnumber them and run and be clean when we got the ball too. So it was sort of a combination of things. But Ross didn't lose his cool at half time, that's for sure. He just helped us out, which was good.
So take us into the mechanics then, because their listeners are hearing that, right? They have to stop the centre bounce influence that the Cats have. What do you do? What does that look like?
For us, it was changing up our our shape, I suppose. They were sort of getting on top. Big Ryan Marshall probably wasn't getting his hand to it, so he had to change his technique a little bit, and I needed to sort of tighten up on Danger. I had a bit of a stoppage roll on him, and Tom Stewart was going there too, so they were throwing quite a few tricks at us, but we just came in and got a little bit more clarity with our setup, and made sure they weren't really coming out the front and getting quality exit, and we needed to bring our pressure too to make it easier for our backs to mark and intercept and bounce from there with our offence.
Jack, Brent Harvey up here, congratulations individually and collectively, obviously. You spoke about shifting the ball in the second half. It didn't look like you were doing that very well in the first half, but gee, from up here, you switched the ball, you came back through the middle on the 45s, got the ball on the other side. Geelong's defence is so proactive that you guys got on the other side of them, and your forwards looked so much more dangerous. And we spoke about your inside 50s in the first quarter in particular. They were just dump kicks versus dropping your eyes in the second half, and it just looked like a different St Kilda team.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a lot of that is just work rate off the ball, is getting to the open side. I suppose providing an outlet, especially from the defensive half, but then going inside 50, making sure we always have one at the leg, one leading backwards into the space. So just always creating movement, making their defenders think, and not just making it easy for them and standing like statues. So it makes it a lot easier for the ball carrier when that happens.
And your own game, 2 goals. You snuck forward a little bit. Is there a bit more of a focus on getting forward and hitting the scoreboard for yourself as well?
Nah, there actually isn't. I kicked 3 the other week, which was bloody nice as well. So, but I've done it all out of the midfield, just working forward. And Lenny Hayes is a development coach at the Saints, and I think he had me as a midfield coach when I was at the Giants. So he's seen me grow as a player, and he's always said you need to test more as a midfielder forward. So I sort of just had that in the back of my mind, and in transition I just try and get hard as I can forward and get in behind the defence, and I suppose hit up and just get dangerous, make them think, because I am naturally a defensive midfielder myself, so I don't like to dip my toes in the forward 50, but Lenny sort of give me the licence.
Well, keep doing it, mate, because you're hitting the scoreboard and it makes a huge difference.
We all love Lenny.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Lenny. Yeah. What about Darcy Wilson? What's the scope for this young fella? He's had a big night tonight, 25 and 2 goals, 3. Could have been 3, but hit the post with a dodgy one. He's a real talent. He's got some legs, and he makes, clearly, what I love about him, Jack, is he makes cool, calm decisions with the ball in hand more often than not.
Yeah, he's a special kid. He wants to be great. He listens. I can't really fault him, to be honest, and he's probably one of the best athletes I've ever seen on a football field, with some of the numbers he clocks up with a GPS, and I think tonight it really worked for him. It probably hasn't been like that all year.
Yep.
But as soon as he learns where to run and how to run and really use that weapon that he has, look out, because it'll be very special. And even at half time and three-quarter time, he came up to me and said, let's not lose our cool. Like, we're still going very well. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, this is the first year play come up with the captain saying that. So, and he doesn't say too much. So when he speaks, everyone does listen. So he's got power in his voice, which is, it's very, very good, very special.
Jack Steele, St Kilda captain, joining us on ABC Sport after St Kilda's 18-point win. Jack, what's in a venue or a stadium for you? Obviously, it's your home ground, Docklands. You've won 4 of your last 5 here. But also coming up against Geelong, you've won your last 3 encounters with them where you haven't had the same success when you've headed down to Cardinia Park.
Yeah, like, we obviously love playing here. It's our home ground and we have our fans here. And obviously, we're lucky that today was thank you to our members around, and we broke the membership record during the week, so we had a lot of fans that came out. And I did have a quick word to the boys before the game saying that, in previous occasions when we played the Cats here, we've won, and it hasn't been a flogging. We haven't been on top from the start. It's always been a grind and a battle up until that probably third quarter where we can really use our run and get on top and get the crowd involved. So that's what we did again tonight. So I'm just so happy that the fans really got on top and helped us over the line.
Jack, it's Matt Clinch here as we let you go. Darcy Wilson turns 19 tomorrow, so big 24 hours for him. But you've got the Blues next week, a chance to spoil another top 8 contender once more.
Yeah, it'd be nice to finish the season on a bit of a high, 3 wins in a row to finish it off and build into next year. And obviously they'll be playing for a fair bit as well with their current situation. So it'll be a fair hit out, but they're a quality side when they're up and going too. So like I said before against the Cats tonight, it felt like a real finals intensity game. So we really want to be playing finals in years to come, so it's a good test.
And it's always a hard question to answer, but obviously having played finals last year, the burn of not getting to play finals this year, and you play a second half like you played today, where it feels like if you can play that level of footy for long enough, you can probably match it with just about anyone.
Absolutely, and it is frustrating, but the way we're looking at it is we're building for the future, and we've still, although we're not playing finals, and might seem from, I suppose, from the outside that we've taken a big step backwards, but in many ways we've seen a lot of growth in the group and big steps forward internally. So we're just going to get to work in the off-season and see how we go.
Always appreciate your time, Jack. Well done on the win tonight, and good luck in the final round of the home and away season.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
St Kilda captain Jack Steele with you on ABC Sport. The Saints winners by 18 points, 16-11, 107 to Geelong, 14-5, 89. It's a fascinating sort of insights into the psychology of a side who haven't quite reached the lofty heights of last year and trying to will the most out of themselves to the finishing line.
And they'll be disappointed, clearly, as Jack said late there, but with their overall year, because there was so much to like about what they did last season. It just never really clicked, did it, these first 2/3 of the season. But their back end's been really good. They've been beaten by Port Adelaide by a couple of points since the bye. Adelaide got a hold of them, and then Brisbane obviously did a number a couple of weeks ago. But outside of that, it's been pretty strong form. Sydney in there, smacking of Essendon. Come very comfortable over Richmond last week and a big win tonight. 18 points against the Cats after being down, what were they, 33 points at half-time. It's a significant statement that they are capable of playing a really nice brand of footy and a finals brand of footy. I mean, that was really tough. They were hard in that second half. They had numbers to the ball, as Jack Steele talked about, committed extra numbers. They were able to work the ball from there with extra numbers and put the defence of the Cats under enormous pressure. And not too many teams do that to Geelong. Now, yes, this is their home venue and very different to GMHBA Stadium, burned down at Cardinia Park, but it's one of those things. Like, if these moments are important for teams like St Kilda to know that they can. Now, last year they got there because of a great start and they sort of held on and held their form, but these are the moments where you come up against real quality opposition who have heaps to play for. Like, the top 4 spot for the Cats is gold, and now that is in jeopardy on a performance of like we saw in the second half.
So we've seen Geelong, Brisbane and Fremantle all lose with top 4 spots on the line.
Yep. Sydney were the only one who were able to lock in the minor premiership and do their part of
Port Adelaide.
And Port Adelaide have locked in their top 4 spot as well.
Second now, a game behind Sydney, and even with the Giants on 60, 15 wins. So it's a huge round of football, and it makes tomorrow interesting, and it makes next week even more interesting. So it's always good when it's close, isn't it?
Well, the Cats have got West Coast at home.
That's a win.
So you would think that they win that.
You should.
If they don't win that, they shouldn't be playing finals anyway.
Fair call.
But there'll be a lot of teams watching what's happening in the build-up to that game, see if there's any changes or whatever it might be, because Hawthorn, if they win tomorrow, Bulldogs, if they win tomorrow, they'll be eyeing off that spot. It is the first game on Saturday next week down there at Cardinia Park. So most teams will work out where they sit in the scheme of things. in terms of a top 4 prospect before they even play.
And the other thing I was saying before we went to the song was when you finish a year with a couple of good wins, and if St Kilda can do that next week against Carlton, you go into it drives you for the pre-season. You think, okay, there is something there, because they'll be disappointed with their season today. Let's be fair. You go into pre-season going, rightio, big workload. Let's build as a team. Let's get some camaraderie. Let's get fit, strong, and see where we can go next year. So it's always good to finish off the year.
And, of course, they haven't had any Max King for the last few weeks of the season. You touched on Callum Wilkie and the role in which he played. It sort of felt like Geelong worked that out too late as to how influential he was on the match. So
it's a good point.
You look back and go, well, it's a stirring win for St Kilda. They're starting to get the best out of Wilkie, Marshall, Steele, Sinclair, Darcy Wilson, who started on fire in that round 1 game against Geelong. Wanganeen Miller across half-back, and then they've got some big decisions they're going to have to make around sort of Zach Jones, Tim Membry, depending on what happens with Josh Battle, and then the compensation they might receive from if he departs.
Well, the word, who knows what's going to happen, but the word is the band will be a Tier 1 band. It'll be pick whatever it is, 7. If they get pick 6 now, it'll be pick 7. So that's pretty attractive, you'd reckon, to the Saints. If they were to lose Josh Battle, who they wouldn't want to, because what he's capable of, we saw it tonight against Jeremy Cameron, where he did beat him, I reckon, even though Cameron kicked 2 late goals.
In the end,
Yeah, 2 late goals doesn't really count. Game was over. Pack up your bag, Josh. Go home. You've won it. That's a blow if they lose him, but pick 7 might be...
Puts a bit more pressure, though, on sort of Dougal Howard and sort of the next tier down, though.
Well, they might be able to filter someone back in through a trade, so there's always plenty of mechanisms to find a player. I mean, as I said, they don't want to lose him, but yeah, there's a bit to like about the Saints. Ross has been on about this all year, and I've been a bit slow, I must admit, to catch on that it's about building this platform and this foundation for the next generation Saints. We know there's some players at the top end, there always are, but he's building a nice profile, I reckon, and when they have moments like this, I reckon they get great confidence in Ross and what he's trying to do from a playing perspective.
St Kilda by 18 points, 107 to Geelong 14-5.
Just go back to that Callum Wilkie thing. Like, don't get beaten by things you know. Yeah. This is the thing we say all the time in footy. For weeks it was teams tagging Tom Stewart and making sure that he had attention all night long, because he was the one rolling back, getting in the way, intercepting, starting the attack for the Cats. Wilkie's the same. If you play St Kilda and you don't have someone being really mindful of Cal Wilkie, you're an idiot. Because he's the one that breaks games and saves games.
Well, it's exactly the same role as Tom Stewart plays for Geelong.
The same role.
Yeah.
Well, Geelong don't normally go after it. That's why I was really surprised when Mullen went to Hill tonight. And that was a proper tag.
Yeah.
That was a proper tag. When Hill came off the ground, he came off the ground with him. When he went to half-back, he was playing as a defensive forward. So I was really surprised about that at the start of tonight. But you're right, they just took too long to identify Cal. Stengel went to him in the last quarter, I think it was.
Yep.
And
there was no attention up until that point.
The first 2 goals that Geelong kicked, first goal, Stengel kicked one, but he played a part in the next set shot where he blocked him out. So it took a while to get it done, but in the end it was too late, wasn't it? Because he was probably, and we'll find out, but he was probably the best player on the ground.
Well, you will tell us shortly.
It's not really a Gary Rowan sort of role that he's going to play that defensive role, but, you know, that's what Billy Frampton did on Harris Andrews in the grand final.
So it can just be a reference role. You don't have to necessarily sit on him and tag him.
Yeah.
Just reference him, and then if he's not going to get roll off and pick up, you're the one that leads up to the leg. I heard Jack Steele talk about lead to the leg and then one lead to the space. You can be the one that leads to the leg and get used, because Cal Wilkie will want to drag back. He'll want to fold back or come across as the third option in the aerial contest, the long ball. That's what he does. So be a bit smarter, and just identify. It doesn't make any sense that no one pays any attention to this bloke who's seriously good.
Has coaches ever thought that Cal Wilkie's going to go exactly what you said, go where the ball's going?
Yeah.
So let's play someone on him and go through his man. Let's drop the eyes and hit Gary Rowan or whoever it's going to be. He kicks the first 2 goals. What do you think Cal Wilkie's message is? Go man him up. Stop dropping off.
Yeah. Or you change the whole dynamic of the match, because they'll bring someone else back and that'll change the mix somewhere else.
Yep.
So you get benefits in other areas of the ground. Yeah, it was baffling the way that they attacked that tonight, the Cats.
So how much of a reality check is this for Geelong, or are they just like, they've won 6 of their last 8? Every team who's been vulnerable so far this season, that you get to a certain level and then you just have a flat period where a team can expose you, and expose you St Kilda did. 13 goals to 5 after half-time. It was just a completely different set of circumstances.
They'll back their system. They'll just keep backing their system because they know their good is really good. Tonight they'll have to dissect the second half. Their first half was what was it, 9 goals to 3 at half time. They ended up 5 goals after half time they kicked, I think it was.
Yep.
So that they'll still play their system. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head who's to come into that Geelong lineup.
It's a great question you should ask Brent Harvey, because they might have Tom Hawkins, who they're wrestling whether they play in the final round of the home and away season.
Bruin as well.
Bruin and Tui. Tui's the other one.
Tui was the other one who was rested.
And there's Sam, yeah.
I don't think Sam DeConing's likely to play.
Going to get up, yeah. Look, they've earned some credits, no doubt, the Cats. Not just this year, but the way they've built this program through the Chris Scott era. So, we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but I reckon there's a real good look in the mirror for some of those blokes in the way they played that second half. I reckon Chris Scott should be quite livid with the way it unfolded. They were pretty disappointing.
Yep.
In many respects, it was embarrassing, the way they allowed St Kilda to control that game.
Some work for Chris Scott to try and work out. Jess Webster's made her way down to the Geelong room, so as soon as we find out whether a player's willing to chat or not, test this CBA agreement as to whether the players are doing media or they're not, Boomer.
These are the nights sometimes the coach says, no one talk to the media either. Dennis Pagan, you say that every single week, even if we won by 6 goals. But
Media Street for you.
Yeah, Media Street.
Which are the senior players who have to do it. So West Coast haven't beaten Geelong in Geelong since 2006. Of course, they famously came back from 54 points down in the third quarter. Marcus in South Melbourne on the SMS, 0437 774 774. Have you noticed 19 out of the 24 times this year, the team that played Freo the previous week have lost the next round, including Geelong tonight?
Is that right? Well, I didn't know the stat, 19 out of 24. It's a good stat. So they've come back from Perth. It was a great win last week for them, no doubt. And there's always been conversation about that taking the edge off. Boomer, you went through it more than anyone in the history of the world, coming back from Perth.
Yeah, it's not the greatest flight, is it? 4.5 hours there, and you get the time difference coming home, and do you catch a red eye home? They're all the questions that normally get asked, and I don't know what Geelong do with their travel or not, but 19 out of 24 times, that's a big start.
Well, in fairness, Freo are a pretty good team, so that sort of makes a bit of sense too. Put you under the pump, but yeah, that may be a factor. Who knows? End of the year, the world's longest year, which we've talked about as well. It's a challenge. It's a marathon. This one more than ever is a marathon this season, and you go through the top 8 at the moment, and who would you trust? Boomer, who would you trust? You got Sydney and Port Adelaide sitting there. They've locked their top 2 spots in. The Giants have, well, they've done that as well with that win today. So we've got 3 teams locked in the top 4, and then the 4th spot is up for grabs. Cats lose today, but played really well last week. Brisbane have lost the last 2. Freo, ordinary last week, good today, but lost. That was a really good game today. I watched a fair bit of that today. Bulldogs were fantastic up until last week, and Hawthorn at their best are probably the hottest team in footy. But who do you trust in September?
Is it Giants right now? Maybe it's the Giants for me, because
Giants have won 7 on the trot all of a sudden, so 9-point winners over Fremantle today.
They got a solid back line, some really good players. They got a really good forward line, and a different forward line. Jesse Hogan's been unbelievable. But you got Toby Green can pop up and do anything, and then they've got their ball movement through the middle with Kelly and Whitfield and these type of guys. Maybe it's the Giants who you can probably trust right now the most. Other than, I look at Hawthorn, I just think if they can scrape in, they could do some damage, a.k.a. the Western Bulldogs of 2016. Who knows?
If they can finish 5th or 6th and get an MCG final first, that could be anything.
Well, they're going to win their next 2 games.
You would think.
They've got Richmond and North Melbourne.
Yep.
North Melbourne in Tassie, their home part of Tassie. So you think they just win those 2 games?
Fremantle are off to or hosting Port Adelaide next week. This is a huge challenge for them. And the Giants got to go to Mars. Got to go to Ballarat. They've got to go to a different planet and play in Ballarat.
We're working through all the possibilities. St Kilda 18-point winners over Geelong. Let's head down to the Cats rooms with Jess Webster.
Thanks, Clincher. Here with Reece Stanley. Reece, thank you so much for your time. A tough loss tonight. How do you summarise the performance, and what are the key takeaways for you?
Key takeaways, let's be optimistic. We've got a fair bit to look forward to over the next few weeks. Obviously a big celebration next week for one of our greats in Tom Hawkins at home. We've got West Coast down there, so we need to get to work this week. We'll have a look at it early, but to put your finger on it right now would be probably tough, but we just couldn't get the ball off them and couldn't hold on to it for long enough.
Was that the mood in the team meeting that, not too much to worry about, and that, maybe this is just a blip, or was there some serious concerns that you saw out there in terms of the way you played your footy close to finals?
I wouldn't say serious concerns. We're going to, like I said, we've got to be optimistic. We've got so much to look forward to. We've played some really good footy this year, so you'd be silly not to take away the positives of the year, especially at this point when we've got so much ahead of us.
Reece Stanley with us on ABC Sport. I'll send you straight upstairs to our experts, Brent Harvey and Daniel Harford.
Reece, Daniel Harford, mate. We talked about that. We talked about the fact you built up some credits, and particularly again last week in Perth with that fantastic win over Freo. But to allow a game to just fall out of your hands in that second half was alarming to watch, to be honest, because of the quality you normally have.
It was alarming to be out there, mate.
Well, that's my next my question. Like, how do you do something about that in the game on the fly? How do you try and shift that again and then get that momentum back?
Yeah, probably us as senior players. It's about holding on to the footy for a little bit, isn't it? They got a run on. They play a pretty fast brand of footy when they get their tails going. So they kick marked against us, and we just couldn't get back, transition back quick enough to slow that play. So that's on us. We'll obviously look at that really, really closely and try and stem that in the future. But to put your finger on it now, like I said, is tough. Obviously, we're not happy with the performance by no means. We've got to get to work.
Yeah, so it was a lot of marks in the second half, uncontested marks for the second half. They were plus 45, so you couldn't lay a glove on them with ball in hand. Then tackles with numbers were down as well. I'm interested in the system behind the ball, or the defensive system, going from like a spatial system to just guard the grass and then come up and strike as you do so well, to having to go to a more man-on-man. Can you do that in flow? Does a coach call that, or can you call that?
We need to be able to call that on the field. Like the coach can only do so much, and the senior players, and not even just the senior players. We've got such a knowledgeable group and such a close group that we need to be able to see those things, identify what's going on in the game, and rectify that on the fly. Like you said, those uncontested marks, we knew that coming in, and we didn't stop it. We didn't defend well enough. So the roll around defence stuff is obviously important to us. Getting back to help our defenders there, and tonight, for stage of the game, we did it really well. And then obviously for that second half, they kick marked their way through us, and we weren't quick enough to get set.
Reece, Brent Harvey up here. You want to take a positive out of the game. Young O'Sheen Mullen, who played a defensive role on Brad Hill, kept Brad Hill to 10 disposals. I'm not sure if you knew that or not, but tell us a little bit about his role tonight, because you guys notoriously don't really go after too many players, do you?
We tend not to. No, I think it's week by week, though, isn't it? With what you're coming up against, and Osh can play a variety of roles. You see his run down the wing. That pace he's got is unbelievable. And he's a real student of the game. Obviously, he's travelled a long way to play with us, and he's learning every week. Just wants to be better, wants to learn, and he's doing a really good job for us.
Now, take the listeners into the third quarter. 7 goals to 1, unfortunately, against you guys. What can you do or what should have you guys done to stop that stem a little bit?
7 goals to 1, is that what it was?
Yeah, third quarter.
Pretty bad quarter, isn't it? Yeah, so for us, it starts around the ball, doesn't it? So getting territory on the ball inside our forward half, and then working on our defence behind it. We weren't, like I said before, we weren't quick enough to set up behind us. So as the ball goes inside 50, we should be basically numbering off on everything, having a look behind the ball and seeing how we can best set up to stop their slingshot on the way through, and that's something we didn't do very well. So whether that's down to a communication breakdown, whether that's ball watching, as simple as that is, we just weren't quick enough to set up on our entries. I think we were going okay for clearance there, and with the second phase, third phase stuff just wasn't good enough.
Reece Stanley is with us on ABC Sport. Reece, it's Matt Clinch. It was 13 goals to 5 in the second half, so it didn't get any prettier. There was some shining lights. Lawson Humphreys continues to show his way, and Sean Manor in his determination. Ollie Dempsey, who is now the favourite for the Rising Star. So I guess some of the young players, which you touched on there. Mitch Nevitt, we sort of realised he's 193 centimetres when he took that mark inside forward 50. So I'm sure there's some positives that will get emphasised heading into the final round of the home and away season.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of players there available and all playing some good footy. So, like you said, our young guys stood up at phases tonight, but we didn't have enough soldiers come to the party tonight. So we'll reset. But Lawson Humphreys is one, like you said. He's come in and he just looks so poised, doesn't he? He looks calm with the footy. His story is a great one. From where he was playing his footy in WA last year and at the levels, and to come in and not just play but impact is really impressive.
So has Tom Hawkins been doing a fair bit of work? Are you expecting him to play this week?
He's been doing a heap of work. I couldn't comment, to be honest. I can't comment on whether he's available or not available, but he's certainly doing a mountain of work, and great to have around the group, obviously. One of the best people you have around a footy club, and he'll be guiding our young players if he's not playing. We'd love to see him out there.
Would you pick him if Scotty asked you?
Would I pick him? Of course I would.
It seemed a silly question. But
Big Tommy Hawkins out of the square. Why not?
Good on you, Reece. As always, we know it's tough after a loss. Thanks for your time on ABC Sport.
Thanks, guys.
Reece Stanley joining us after St Kilda's 18-point win, 16-11, 107 to Geelong, 14-5, 89.
It's interesting how sometimes players are caught up just in the moment. They lose track of the overall picture. Like, didn't know it was 7-1 through that third term. You would have thought that might have been mentioned at three-quarter time with the coaching staff, or the line coach or the senior coach. Hey, fellas, that was 7-1. That was a bad day for us. That's a bad quarter for us.
Would you guys have any awareness on the field? Would you count them? And you think, all of a sudden this is 3 or 4 against us on a row?
Yeah,
in a row?
absolutely.
You'd know.
Back in the day, we used to have a call. If someone kicked 3 goals against us, we went to a play.
Defensive
to
phase.
to a certain play. So you know straight away when there's 2 or 3 goals kicked against you at any stage.
You might have lost track. It was too many. 7.
Yes.
Interestingly, Mitch Turner back in Perth says Geelong's injury list says Tom Hawkins is 2 weeks away, meaning he won't play, if that's accurate. I mean,
is Neil Barmy still in charge of that?
I don't think so.
It was always 2 weeks with Barmy too, and it was never 2 weeks.
The Geelong medical report was never quite 100% accurate, to the extent I think the AFL actually told them they had to put games as to how long they were expected to be out for, rather than short, medium or long term.
Yeah, that's right.
Mitch Duncan at one stage was a short to medium term, which ended up being about 16 weeks.
Yeah, they're the ones that changed the rules, weren't they?
They were.
Cats.
So it's
His point's right, though. We touched on it. I mean, they've had a lot to like about their year so far, and they've celebrate some cool things leading into a finals campaign. Where they finish now is a bit more of a challenge than perhaps they would have liked, but they'll probably get their top 4 spot. With all the doom and gloom we've been talking about, they'll probably get their top 4 spot, and that'll give them a chance.
Their percentage, though, is not that great, so it probably means they'll finish 4th.
They'll finish 4th, yeah.
So they'd play Sydney on the road week 1, Port Adelaide to host the Giants if it sort of stays the way it is at the moment.
They did kick 5-0 against Sydney up at the SCG earlier in the season, didn't they? They got beaten. No, they got overrun in that game, but it's a nice little memory to have heading to the SCG.
It certainly is.
5-0.
So Fremantle in 6th, the Bulldogs in 7th, Hawthorn in 8th. All of a sudden, the first week of finals is looking like it's going to be outside of Victoria, depending on what happens with the Hawks and the Bulldogs, who are currently in 7th and 8th position at the moment, with Brisbane and Fremantle in 5th and 6th. So in the showdown, 56 in front of 53,457 fans, the biggest crowd since 2017. Zach Butters won the showdown medal for his 42 disposals, 10 clearances and a goal. Most disposals ever in a showdown, passing Mark Rasciuto, Peter Burgoyne and Tom Rockcliffe's record of 41 disposals. And for the Power, it means they lock in their top 2 finish. And we sort of had half an eye on the monitor of that match, and there was all sorts of emotion and fireworks, as you'd expect in a cross-town rivalry, with Josh Richelli pointing to his teeth as he celebrated a goal with the Port Adelaide faithful.
And all the Port players on the way off were doing the same.
Right.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, I'm not sure, probably to the crowd or to something, or maybe to Josh.
Well, and the other big story, of course, is Dan Houston's going to be cited by the MRO for cleaning up Isaac Rankin, who was carried off or stretched off on the little machine, the little car, for just a bump. He grabbed the ball out of spilled up out of a kick, and then grabbed it, and Houston got him fair and square in the chops, front on, chose to bump, hit him in the head, concussion for Isaac Rankin, and it'll be, I said before, I don't think he'll play again this year. So it's minimum 4, probably 5, maybe 6.
Wow.
Well, they can't have that. The AFL, that's what they're
left the ground. Made contact high. It's going to be a big penalty to play. I'm sure the Port Adelaide side will take it to the tribunal and make their case as best they can. But once it gets to this stage of the season, even if you take the guilty approach and admit your faults, it doesn't really help your case, especially if Port Adelaide win in the first week of finals. Even if they lose, it probably is not going to work in his favour. So 5-2 in the final term. The way of Port Adelaide, Darcy Byrne-Jones was one of One, two, three, four, five players who kicked 2 goals. So Willie Rioli 2, Francis Evans 2, Jason Horn-Francis another good game with 2. While for the Crows, Matt Crouch led the way with 29 disposals, 2 goals to Fogarty and to Rankin. It's been an interesting season for Isaac Rankin, sort of scratching the surface of the player he could be, but the hamstring injury against Collingwood at the MCG, and then unfortunately it looks like his season will most likely be over with a concussion. He'll miss Adelaide's final match of the home and away season.
Well, they're a different team when he's playing,
Yes.
seemingly. Isaac Rankin, he's been a
He has
fabulous
that
player.
speed, doesn't he? He has the speed around the football that I haven't got a lot of.
Yep, and class, and he's gone up to the middle of the ground and got involved as an on-baller as well. It's another stage in his development, which is, I'm sure Adelaide fans would be happy to see. But when he's not there, it's a very different lineup because, as you say, Boom, they haven't got a heap of it. But he's a class player. He makes things happen.
Adelaide have Sydney at the SCG in the final match of their season. For Port Adelaide, they all of a sudden turn their attention to the Dockers on the road in Perth, the final match of the home and away season. So is there any temptation for Ken Hinkley to maybe rest a couple of players, given they've secured a top 2 finish?
Well, you get to rest the week after, don't you?
Yeah.
That's the thing, yeah.
You don't want 2 weeks off.
Probably, no, you don't want 2 weeks
Charlie
off.
Dixon, he's
Absolutely
probably
not.
not
You
in
don't
your
have to.
best side at the moment, so...
Yeah, I mean, there might be an opportunity to do a Geelong with Mitch Duncan type scenario to get someone just there and ready to go if they need to, but manage it if they can.
Yep.
That might be a possibility for the Power next week. But, yeah, I'm with you, Boom. I wouldn't want to see too many players missing 2 weeks into a final series.
And there wouldn't be too many players that want to do that either, just for their own preparation, unless you're super sore.
Maybe Mitch Georgiades, you don't bother rushing him back?
No, you wouldn't,
he wouldn't rush it.
No. Absolutely not. Those type of players you leave out, and they do get 2 weeks off because they need it. But everybody else, your Butters and Rosies and these type of stars of the team, they play.
The votes for the ABC Football of the Year, while you guys gather your thoughts. The other winners today, the Giants, their 7th win on the trot, 9-point winners over the Dockers, 15-11, 101. Fremantle 14-8-92. Jesse Hogan, with his 6 goals, moves 10 goals clear on top of the Coleman medal. Going well past Charlie Curnow. He got the 3 votes in the ABC Football of the Year despite Tom Green's 40 disposals. Melbourne defeated the Gold Coast Suns by 54 points, their 11th win of the season. Jack Viney led the way with 30 disposals with the best on-ground performance, including 2 goals. And Collingwood 1-point winners over the Brisbane Lions to just mathematically keep the possibilities alive. 11-13-79 to the Lions, 11-2-78. Still Sidebottom got the 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Port Adelaide winners by 22 points. The Saints winners by 18 points. The votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year, Brent Harvey.
So 1 vote, we went with Darcy Wilson, 25 touches, 2 goals, 3. Probably should have been 3, as half mentioned already. And just his ability to be clean and use his speed, I thought was fantastic. 2 votes goes to their skipper, Jack Steele, 27 disposals, 2 goals, 10 score involvements, and match high, 10 tackles. We thought he was fantastic. And the guy who we could not leave out, Daniel, was the full back, Cal Wilkie. 28 disposals, 15 marks, 8 intercept marks, and pretty much controlled the game from the start to the finish. Thought he was the best player on the ground. Probably apologies to Rowan Marshall, had a ripper but couldn't squeeze him in.
3 to Wilkie, 2 to Steele, 1 to Wilson from Brent Harvey and Daniel Harford in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Jack Bowes led the way with 31 disposals. He went at 52% kicking efficiency, had 4 clearances and 16 hand pass receives. Lawson Humphreys with 24 disposals, Holmes with 22, Manor with 21 for the Cats. Cal Wilkie led the way with 28 disposals, including 15 marks. Marshall with 28 disposals, 10 clearances, and Steele with 27 disposals and 5 clearances. So as we wrap up, a quick thought forward to tomorrow. The Western Bulldogs take on the Kangas, Boomer. So a chance for the Bulldogs to try and get back onto their winning ways. And for North Melbourne, a chance to see how they square up against the top 8 side.
Yeah, it would be interesting if North could play the same as St Kilda and do some damage to the top 8, wouldn't it? But I can't see it happen. I think Bulldogs are a really good outfit. We haven't mentioned them much. They're on a similar part of Hawthorn for me. They scrape in, they'll scare a few teams.
Can't see the Kangas getting over the Bulldogs in that one.
As much as I would like it, yes.
Dogs got a bit to show, though, after their disappointing outing against Adelaide, but they have been up for a while. The Hawks and the Tigers, Dustin Martin will make an appearance in round 24, so not tomorrow, but Richmond could do with something just to give them a bit of fight and will to the end.
They're running out of soldiers.
Could be ugly.
It's high. Yeah, I think it's 10 plus to the Hawks. The way they're playing, there's no respite for them when they're out there. They've got no interest in slowing down. They're a million miles an hour at the moment, the Hawks, and I think if they get a hold of them early, it is going to be a big day, a long day at the office for them.
I agree with Daniel. I think for percentage as well, if they get 6 up, they could easily go to 12 up.
Unchanged, the Hawks after a 74-point win over Carlton. If they did that to Carlton, what are they going to do to Richmond? And the final match of the round, all eyes turn to the West as the West Coast Eagles host Carlton.
Oh, what a game.
What are we going to get from their old Blues?
What a game. That's been bucketing down all day in Perth.
Who's left?
Yeah, bucketing down.
No Sard, no Mackay, no Martin, no Fogarty, no Kerno, no Boyd. So the 6 injuries.
No worries, say the baggers.
Young.
Well, the weather might play into their hands. If
small ball might work.
Yes, small forward line.
Small ball.
Young, Binns, Moyer, Carroll, Durden and Cooper Lloyd makes his debut. Edwards and Petruccelli come in for the West Coast Eagles.
Yeah, so the practice game between Fremantle and Collingwood called off with lightning and storms today in the AFLW.
Right.
So it was bucketing down, absolutely bucketing down. Belmont races were called off. So heaps of rain. So Michael Voss is sitting there going, how good is
guilty.
Fantastic. They will enjoy that because they have got no height in the forward half of the ground. They're going to have to play small.
And on the other hand, West Coast have with Darling, Waterman and Allen.
Yep.
So they got some big forwards who did some damage last week.
Joe Schofield has got back-to-back wins. All of a sudden thinking, Paul Roos, I could get this job.
Yep.
Everyone else keeps pulling out. Daniel Jean, Syracuse,
3
Dean
wins.
Cox.
It could be 3 wins from 4 games. And is that right? 3 from 4?
West Coast?
Yeah.
Would be 3 in a row.
If he wins,
win tomorrow.
Has he had 4 or 5 cracks at it? Maybe 5.
More than that, yeah. I'm actually tipping the West Coast Eagles. I tipped the Saints tonight too, by the way.
No.
We spoke about this yesterday, Brent, when I caught up with you.
Was it a sneaky?
It was a sneaky.
Okay, well done.
Tipped the Saints in this game, which I'll mention now. But I think West Coast will ride the wave, and it's going to be a bridge too far for the baggers to fill the holes that have gone out there. Massive loss of players from last week's game. Massive. 6 high-quality players.
You can't replace that.
You cannot replace.
You can replace 1 or 2
players.
maybe and find some holes, but the 6 is just, that's crazy.
They can win the contest still, the Blues, with Cripps and co. But in general, playing open field play, I don't know how they're going to do it.
It is, of course, a pay TV broadcast on TV, so ABC Listen app and via your analogue radio to cover the West Coast Eagles and the Blues with that team in Perth. It's going to be fascinating, the coaching challenge for Michael Voss. Thank you, Half. Thank you,
Good on
Boomer.
you. Great team.
Great
Good
to have
work.
you back, Loz. Thanks to Jess Webster down in the rooms, to Stu at the back of the box, and to Mitch Turner back at base in Perth. St Kilda 18-point winners, 16-11-107 to the Cats 14-5-89. And the Power secure a top 2 finish with a 22-point victory over the Crows, 11-14-80 to Adelaide 8-10-58. But more to be said about Isaac Rankin and Dan Houston. We're back on air from midday tomorrow for AFL Sunday with Cameron Ling. We look forward to your company then as round 23 continues of the AFL. Good night.
Do you have a favourite ABC show? Perhaps a favourite ABC personality? Tony Armstrong, maybe? Or Sarah Ferguson? How much do you love Gardening Australia? Gruen, Four Corners, Muster Dogs and Bluey? Well, show them some love by voting for them and others in the 2024 Logie Awards. Simply head to tvweeklogies.com.au and cast your vote today.
ABC Sport Digital Radio, your home of conversations.
You just stop and you listen.
And it takes your breath away.
But
Look, you create the conflict here.
People coming up to me in the street.
So you can't help but get drawn in.
Your whole being screams.
Absolute magic.
Very, very confronting.
What did you do?
All right, I'll tell you.
the next chapter's coming.
Conversations with Richard Feidler on ABC Radio.
Political commentator George Megalogenis is back on Conversations today. And George is here to talk about football and his beloved team, the Richmond Tigers, who won the 2017 grand final after a long premiership drought. Now, just hold on for a moment. That might be the cue for you to move a little closer to the radio, or it might incline you to yank out the earplugs or move into the next room. But before you do that, let me just say that this isn't going to be a conversation really about sport. Not really. It's really a conversation about our national life in Australia. George Megalogenis is using the story of Richmond Football Club to remind us and those who are in the political system that there are better ways to run the country than the way we're doing it now. Because even though Richmond is just one footy club among many, it's much more diverse than our parliament. Its players and management and supporters look like contemporary Australia. It now plans for the long term. It no longer ditches its leaders in a panic, and it has 100,000 members, more than all the political parties. George says that Richmond pulled itself out of a hole by finding a new way to win, a new way that was more joyous and more inclusive. And he thinks Australia could do the same. George's book is called The Football Solution, How Richmond's Premiership Can Save Australia. Hello, George.
I have not met a human being that didn't laugh at the subtitle. So I take it that you realise the tongue is in the cheek on that subtitle.
Well, I certainly hope so. I'm deeply offended in ending the conversation now, quite frankly.
You want to end it now?
How Richmond's Premiership... Yes, exactly. Thank you. How Richmond's Premiership Can Save Australia. I reckon the Swans did all this in 2005, but that's a whole other book, I reckon.
They
But
may have well and truly been first, but when they were first in 2005, the political system wasn't sacking a leader old Richmond style every year. So maybe we need to update the story every 10 or so years.
Maybe so. Tell me, first of all, how did you become attached to the Richmond Football Club?
So I tell people I was born into Richmond, which means that I didn't grow up in Richmond. My mother landed in Richmond as a young Greek migrant in 1962. The government paid her airfare to come out to Australia in the early 60s. She lands in Richmond and she very quickly intuits the cultural code of her new country. Meets my father in Carlton, where else are two Greeks going to meet, but another inner city suburb of Melbourne. Implausible for them to have met in Greece because he's an islander and she's from the north of Greece. And quickly they get married, have a child, me, have another one, my sister. She sent me to school in 1969 to kinder with my name tag, George McLegenis, and a footy team. So essentially my identity going into school was as a football supporter for this club, Richmond, which was a suburb she would have lived in for about 6 months, which is a suburb I never set foot in.